All right, and we are live. Welcome everybody to episode 5 of the Canuckleheads show. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming by and joining us here. My name is Frankie, and I'm from the New West Reset channel.
And I'm Chris from Old World Exploration.
So, how you doing, Chris? How's your summer going so far?
It's going. So going, almost gone. Here, good September right around the corner. Can you believe it? The weather's starting to cool off a bit in the evenings and ready for the leaves to turn.
Yeah, the leaves have started turning here already a little bit, and falling off. Some of the poplars tend to be the first to lose their leaves around here, and noticed in about, I don't know, in the last week or so, I'm like, what are all these leaves on the ground already? What? No, it's too soon.
Same as here. Yeah, I feel like everything was like 2 weeks early this year. It feels like.
Yeah. Everything this year seemed early. So even the forest fires starting in May instead of June or July.
That's right. Yeah.
That was almost a month early.
Yeah, you're right.
So we got an awesome show today. This is going to be an epic show. I know myself and Chris have both been anticipating this. This is going to be great. This is a deep dive into railroad castles / hotels. A couple of major railroads here in Canada, right, Chris? And they supposedly, the official story is they built these massive hotels that don't worry about the fact that it looks like a castle from England or from Bavaria or something.
Yeah,
pay no mind to that.
Yeah, it's the new world. It's just railway hotels over here. That's all they are. Just railway hotels.
Yeah, and I mean, we're talking about 4,000 miles from the east coast to the west coast across Canada, and we had two major sort of national railroads here in Canada. We have CN Rail, which is the Canadian National Railway, and then we have CP, the CPR, the Canadian Pacific Railway. Mm-hmm. We also had the Grand Trunk Railway out east, Ontario, Quebec. And there were some smaller railways. Each province kind of had its own smaller railways, usually attached to the logging industry or coal mining industry, that eventually were tapped into the main CN or CP lines. Mm-hmm. But really, it was these two, wasn't it, that built a lot of these old world hotels, so they say.
Yeah, I think in the early amalgamations, it looks like there's a bit of that going on in there in some of these hotels. With the railway lines. So
yeah, and one of the major two would buy up maybe some of the smaller ones.
I remember when BC Rail was bought out by CN here in British Columbia, and it was a big there was a lot of protests against it. All the people that worked for BC Rail were up in arms to be gobbled up by CN Rail.
Yeah, one would think it would be more likely CP than CN, but I remember BC Rail actually.
Yeah.
Saskatchewan had its own rail at one time too. Saskatchewan Rail, of course, and it was gobbled up by CN as well.
Yeah, that sounds about right. CN, there's a lot of private land, or is CN owned land here, actually, especially.
Yeah, which is funny because here it's CP. CP is big in Alberta for some reason. I'm not really sure why. They even have I mean, the main CP Rail head office is in Montreal, but they have sort of a secondary head office that's here in Calgary, actually. So, very, very unusual.
Have you stayed in any of these hotels?
I've never stayed in any of them, but I've been inside a number of them. I've been in the Palliser Hotel here in Calgary a couple of times. I've been in the lobby of the Banff Springs. I've been in the lobby of the Hotel Macdonald in Edmonton.
Oh, yeah.
And what's the big fancy schmancy one in Vancouver?
The Hotel Vancouver, I believe. Fairmont.
Vancouver. Sorry. Yeah, duh. I've been in that one too, I believe. But just in the lobby.
Speaking of, our fearless leader here in Canada just did a speaking engagement there yesterday for $1,700 a plate.
$1,700 a plate.
Yeah.
What a bargain. Are it for me. I wish I could have attended.
Right.
$1,700 a plate dinner to see Trudeau speak, but we're not allowed to use plastic utensils or plastic straws in Canada.
Well, my thinking was, isn't that usually something that happens after you've served out your term? Not usually.
Yeah,
when you're
you go on
sitting in the
these.
seat.
You go on you write your memoirs and you go on a whirlwind speaking engagements and charge thousands of dollars or tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars for these speaking engagements. Yeah, like the Clintons did, like the
Bushes do that, and they all
like
do
Obama did, and even up
Al
here
Gore.
in Canada. Yeah, exactly. Even up here too, Joe Clark did that. Mulrooney did it.
Yeah, it seems to be par for the course. For those
Well, that's how you get your presidential library in the U.S. You see, is you write your memoirs and then you go on a book speaking tour and charge. You charge the venue, $100,000 for you to speak there.
Yeah.
So they charge a $2,000 a plate meal. And once you've done a few of those, they're like, well, okay, we're going to give this guy his own library, Kennedy Library, the Nixon Library, what have you. And there you go. And I think they do the same up here too. Because I know there's a Mulrooney Library. There's there's all kinds of prime minister libraries up here.
Yeah.
So I was thinking before we get the ball rolling here, first of all, as a reminder, we are broadcasting live not only here on my channel at New West Reset, but simultaneously on Chris's channel, Old World Explorations. So links are in the description below for all the contact information for Old World Exploration and myself. There's also some links in there for just a couple of things that I put in the description for Wikipedia, just to give us sort of a rundown on what the official story is on how these hotels came about. But before we do that, let me just say hi to a bunch of folks.
Wait, Frank, I'm gonna plug my. I got a Rumble channel I just started up too, so I'm gonna be posting to their two hot.
You've got Rumble too now. Nice.
Yeah, I have to put it out there. So just wanted to throw that out there before we get into it.
So F in the chat is here. Turtle's here. Turtle. Nico is here as well. Nico Suave. Hi, Kathy. Kathy Childers from Kentucky. The bluegrass state, don't you know? Internet person. Good to see you. Howdy, bud. Welcome. Hi, Terry. Terry Light in the house. Mama T is here. Who else we got? Say hello if you're just logging in.
Yeah, join the chat, guys.
Join the chat. Say hi. Sound off where you're from. Love to hear where everybody's from.
We're just a couple Canucks. We're friendly guys. Just say hi, guys. Say hi.
Yeah, we're just a couple of friendly Canuckleheads up here in Canada, eh, bud? Like, it's no pressure, eh? We're friendly as heck, eh? Galveston, Texas is where Nico is. I touched briefly on that last week on my live stream about when I was talking about the Dominion exhibitions across Canada that were kind of like the World Expositions.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because the World Expositions always showed the Galveston flood as some kind of horrific ride or exhibit that you could go on. But the Canadian version of that was the Crimean War. So that's pleasant to take the kids to, when you go to the World Fair.
Set the narrative, right? This is what happened. Why would we lie?
Captain EO. Captain EO's final voyage in the house. Good to see you. Good to see you. From Detroit City.
Detroit, Old World Hub.
Canuckleheads rule, says Jabiro Joe. Thank you. Or is that Habiro Joe? Or is that Habiro Ho? I don't know.
Covering the bases.
I'm trying to cover the bases in order to not offend, but in turn end up offending even more than if I didn't try not to offend. Typical Canadian shenanigans up here. We don't want to offend anybody because we're so friendly up here, eh, bot? But then we end up just acting the fool. Anyways, good to see all of you. Thank you very much for joining us here.
Yeah, thanks for being here, guys.
go ahead and give the stream a thumbs up over here at New West and over on Old World Exploration as well, please. By the way, Chris, congratulations on surpassing 10,000 subscribers, sir.
Yeah, they sent me a special hat.
Did they? Did it have a turkey on it for Thanksgiving? Because I know that was the goal, to try to make it for Thanksgiving.
A turkey wrapped in tinfoil, Mikey. A turkey wrapped in tinfoil.
That's the only way to do it. Thank you, Michael. Michael Davis is in the box. He says, you guys are awesome. Much love. Thank you. Right back at you. Jabiru is a small town in Australia's Northern Territory. There you go. See, always learning something. Always learning. So I think what I'll do here, just to kind of get the ball rolling, is quickly share just the Wikipedia page itself about what sort of the main story is regarding these Grand Railway hotels. Mm-hmm. So as you can see, that's exactly what they call them, Grand Railway Hotels of Canada. So not just your run-of-the-mill railway hotel, you see. So it says Canada's Grand Railway Hotels are a series of railway hotels, oh, no kidding, thank you, across the country, each a local and national landmark, and most of which are icons of Canadian history and architecture. Some are considered to be the grand hotels of the British Empire. Each hotel was originally built by the Canadian railway companies, or the railways acted as a catalyst for the hotel's construction. The hotels were designed to serve the passengers of the country's then expanding rail network, and they celebrated rail travel in style. And I found this next part interesting, the architecture. It says many of the railway hotels were built in the chateau style. Chateau is French, by the way, for castle. So a little bit of hidden in plain sight right there, because many of these hotels do look like castles. They're also termed the neo-chateau or chateau-esque style, which as a result became known as a distinctly Canadian form of architecture.
Oh.
The use of towers and turrets and other Scottish baronial and French chateau architectural elements. Scottish baronial revival, I guess.
That's awesome. I like that one.
Became a signature style of Canada's majestic hotels. Architects also used the style for important public buildings such as the Confederation and Justice buildings in Ottawa. Give it a peekaboo at that. That's that sort of sandstone with the green roofing with all the pointed beauty that we see with the tech on top.
Is that copper roof?
I think they are copper roofs. Yeah, because I know that anytime that they have to do any maintenance on them, it's super duper expensive.
Yeah.
In later years, the railway companies departed from the chateau style for some of their properties, notably with the construction of Winnipeg's Royal Alexandra Hotel in 1906. The Palliser Hotel in Calgary in 1914, and the elaborate Second Hotel Vancouver, designated in Grand Italianate style, unlike any of the previous Canadian railway hotels. So basically what they're saying is you're going to see Bavarian, French, and Scottish influence, so they say, in the architectural designs, as well as Greco-Roman revival styles. And, it's going to be a mixed bag of beauty, is basically. Mm-hmm. Quick little bit here on the history. Canada's first grand railway hotel, the Windsor Hotel in Montreal.
Oh,
so
there's a
quick peek at it without letting too much of the cat out of the bag.
Okay,
but
sure.
It opened in 1878, although it was not owned by a railway company. It was built to serve railway visitors from nearby Windsor Station, which in itself was an incredible old world building. Mm-hmm. The main train terminal. Given its location next to Montreal's main train station, the Windsor served for years as the permanent residence of executives of both the Canadian Pacific Railway and the Grand Trunk Railway. So then as the railway developed and moved further westward, more and more hotels were put up, and then as the provincial railways connected to the main lines and were bought out by either CN or CP, supposedly other hotels began to sprout up as, much like in the US, Canada expanded westward and the railway expanded westward. Mind you, it also expanded from west to east, and they joined there in BC, didn't they? Just outside of what's it called? Craigellachie, the last spike, just outside of Revelstoke. Isn't that right?
Oh,
Chris?
yeah. I haven't done enough research on that. You caught me.
I think that's where the eastern bound building of the railway, so they say, and the western bound meet is about halfway through the Canadian Rockies, I think just west of the Great Divide.
Oh yeah, it's pretty interesting driving in those in that country, in the Kootenays. I haven't been down to the Kootenays in quite some time, actually, so worth a look.
Hi, Salva. Salva Cava is here. Old World Micmac, our new friend from the Maritimes, is in the house as well.
Right on.
Conspirism.
Ooh,
Greetings,
like
greetings. Welcome. Good to see you. Thank you very much. So yeah, we don't really need to get too much further with the Wikipedia page, I don't think, without letting the cat out of the bag. So I think what we'll do here is we'll do east to west, because it sort of follows the narrative of how not only Canada but the United States developed as our respective countries expanded. And sort of just before we went live, Chris and I were talking, and we flipped a loonie to see who would go first here, Bod, and I won the coin toss, just like before a good CFL football game. Back when there was 6 teams and 2 of them were called the Rough Riders. Because we're so creative up here. We can build castle-like hotels, but we can't think of too many unique names for professional football teams. So we got to have 2 cities named the Rough Riders.
3 downs or nothing at all, folks.
That's right. So yeah, thanks again for joining us, everybody. And if you don't mind, give us a like. I hope to push myself and Old World Exploration out into the algorithm a little bit.
Yeah.
And if you're on the fence about subscribing to one or the other of us wacky Canuckleheads or both, please do so. It'd be great.
Yeah, jump on board.
Gemstone, a crystal mineral magic. Welcome.
Interesting.
What's our real stories in the house? Good to see you. Thank you for shooting in. So I'm going to start here with, I'm going to go east to west, and I'm going to start with the Hotel Charlottetown, which was a Canadian National Railway hotel. And this was built, they tell us, in 1931, and it's in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island.
Where's that, Frankie?
Where's Prince Edward Island?
On a map.
Prince Edward Island is, she's on the East Coast there, bud. Let's have a look.
All right.
Let's have a look at where she is there. Because, I guess I don't need to remind everybody that Canada's freaking huge. I didn't exaggerate when I wrote in the description 4,000 miles of old world opulence. Because basically from St. John's, Newfoundland to Victoria, Vancouver Island, it's about 4,000 miles. Mm-hmm. But let me just give you a peekaboo at what we're looking at here on the goggle maps. So here's Prince Edward Island right here. Here's Nova Scotia. This is the wonderful Newfoundland. And then we've got, up here is Labrador, Newfoundland and Labrador. Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick is here. So we're going to start here. We're going to do a little bit in and around the Maritimes and Newfoundland and so on. And then we're going to jump up onto the mainland and into Quebec and then move our way westward. I might as well just keep that open there, Bot?
Oh, yeah.
As well. Because it's a good reference point. All right, so what have I got for photos here? I've got... Now, some of these are photos. Some of them are postcards. Some of them are modern photos. Some of them are black and white. Because a lot were, again, some of these aren't up anymore. And some of them, there's just not a lot of photos for whatever reason. Not really sure why. And on a few of them, I tried to capture some interiors as well. Because some of the interiors of these places are very palatial, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
So I'll start with the Charlottetown Hotel, otherwise known as Hotel Charlottetown. Sometimes they'll put hotel before the name, Hotel Charlottetown, Hotel Vancouver, sort of thing. And sometimes they put it after, like Vancouver Hotel. And it's just whether it's anglicized or French, right? The English version is Charlottetown Hotel, and the French version is Hotel Charlottetown. But it's a beautiful red brick structure. And of course, even on a tiny island city, you're going to want to have, some beautiful big pillars in the front of your grand entrance. And then you're going to want your ether fencing with some tech on top.
Mm-hmm.
Here she is in the modern day. And, for a small city in a small part of the country, this is quite a beautiful little hotel.
Mm-hmm.
There's some nice carved details here. You've got some nice keystone work, a lot of beautiful arches. And, they've done little things with the brickwork, little details on it.
Yeah, it looks pretty interesting, actually. Pretty patterned, the brickwork.
Yeah, this along here is very nice.
Mm-hmm.
And again, little carvings. You've got your dogtooth or sawtooth here, and then some pillars along here with your architectural details on the top. I'm not sure what kind of stone this is. If this was Calgary, I would say sandstone. But I'm not sure because it looks like you've got a few different types of stone here. Maybe limestone, sandstone, brick. But she's a lovely little thing. Quite a cute little hotel and quite luxurious, as you'll see as we go along. All these little hotels are. They're quite luxurious, no matter what size they are.
Opened in 1931, I'm seeing.
Yeah, 1931 is when this was completed building. As far as I know, it doesn't say how long it took to build it, but
no, it just says the previous one was destroyed by fire in 29. It was called the Victoria Hotel. So they had a short window to get that thing up. 2 years.
Yeah.
How to design it.
Yeah, a lot of these hotels were either destroyed by fire or partially destroyed and had to be renovated and repaired and rebuilt after fires. Mm-hmm. This is in a very nice neck of the woods in Charlottetown. Look at this cathedral in the background, this beautiful old world house back here. You could just tell this is a beautiful neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And Prince Edward Island is just a lovely, lovely province. It's so lush and green, much like Newfoundland is. So yeah, even up on top here, quite nice. Nice little place.
Very red soil there too, am I right? The soil's known for being red.
Yes, yeah, because that's where we get our taters from.
Yeah.
In the States, it's Idaho potatoes, and in Canada, it's Prince Edward Island potatoes. Here's another postcard just from the opposite angle. And I couldn't find the photo equivalent, of where this postcard was taken from, which is weird to be able to find the postcard, but not the
photo that they took it from.
Yeah, not the photo that it came from. I'm like, okay, all right.
I love the trees in front of the building again, right? Like, why? If you're taking a postcard, you can get rid of those trees. I'm pretty sure. Just show the building.
Yeah, exactly. Or take it from the most advantageous angle that you possibly can, at least to get the least amount of trees in the photo. Yeah. So next up we have we're going to jump over into Newfoundland to the Rock. Newfoundland and Labrador. This is the Newfoundland Hotel, and this is also a CN, Canadian National Hotel. This one was built in 1926, they say, and it's right in St. John's. And this one, unfortunately, was demolished in 1983, which is kind of sad, unfortunately. Sorry, jumping ahead of myself here. Barapelagic Coffee. Great choices. Thank you. Good to see you. Welcome. I think I saw my buddy Vince trying to sneak in here too. Somewhere in here. Vincent, I saw him in the chat. Howdy, Vince. Hidden in plain sight, our old friend. Yeah, there he is. There's Vince. Howdy, Vince. Welcome, welcome. Just say up yours. Yeah, St. John's is pretty old world. We did an episode on St. John's, didn't we?
Part 2, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was
2?
our second episode.
Yeah.
We wanted to look at some of the oldest cities in Canada.
It's a gooder, as we say up here. It's a gooder.
Yeah, it's a good one, bud. She's a beaut. So this is the lobby, again, a postcard, but the lobby of the Newfoundland Hotel in St. John's. And again, these cities, St. John's, Halifax, St. John, Charlottetown, not huge cities, not even by Canadian standards.
Mm-hmm.
So this is quite fancy with the details on the tops of these columns here. Beautiful stairways, carved wood railings, beautiful chandelier work, really high ceilings.
I'll just, I got a timeline on this, building timeline. Work commenced July 1925, and it opened in July 1926.
Oh, so it just took a year to build this thing right here.
Start to finish.
And then it was only around for
60 years, 60 plus.
Yeah,
no,
not even 70, 77 years.
No, I think
57.
It's 67. 57. That's right. 57. Look at us with their numbers. They don't teach math up here in Canada all that well.
I'm my abacus is in the shop. A couple of beads fell off of it, so I'm getting it repaired. Look at this thing, man. Yeah, that took a year. Sure, get a couple of fellers, a couple of cases of beer, we can whack that out over, in a year, no problem.
Well, why wouldn't you tear it down too? After 57 years, it must have been falling apart.
Oh yeah, because that's just built like crap, I guess. All these old world buildings. That's why we never see 200-year-old buildings here in Canada at all, do we? Jeez.
No.
But I mean, it's not super elaborate, but it's for a small city, it's quite a big building.
And
you've got these jut outs here so that you maximize sunshine.
Yeah,
I've got the
look like brick streets there with the rail lines coming right up to it.
Because I know that St. John's did have a few cobblestone streets, and this would be on one of the main roads. Obviously, you can see the track there for the streetcar as well. Look at this butte in the back too, by the way.
Yeah, big one.
But yeah, this is a great look. It's too bad it's gone, but it was a great looking hotel, that one. It's not a lot of pictures in that one. Really, it's just that the last one I just showed, the black and white one, was basically the best photo that I could find of them.
I call them ghosts. They're just like no trace, very little trace. They leave little trace behind. They're just like phantom buildings. Yeah,
you wonder, like, it's the most opulent hotel in the city, and it's a railroad hotel. You think you'd be tripping over pictures of the darn thing, but
it sounds like an exaggeration, but it's almost like they said, tear it down and destroy all traces of it.
Yeah, and make it snappy.
Yeah.
But don't mess around with it. It was built in a year. You should be able to tear it down in a month.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Look at this one.
Yeah, this is the Algonquin Hotel. This is in St. Andrews, New Brunswick, just outside of Fredericton. And this one was built in 1889. And again, just outside of it's in New Brunswick, just outside of Fredericton. Built in 1889. Unbelievable. You notice just a funny, almost, you gotta squint and cock your head to one side to see it, but there's a very, very almost undiscernible tiny little slope right here.
Yeah, a little bit out of level. Just a little bit out of level.
Yeah, just a bit. It's very hard to tell there, folks. I know, but so mud flood, maybe, perhaps, potentially. And just all these angles with these octagonal tops to these sort of turret type designs, and then all of these dormers. Just figuring out the math. I mean, you and I had trouble struggling just to do basic subtraction to try to figure out how many years that hotel was up on the other one.
Yeah.
So you imagine figuring out all the angles to do crunch all the numbers for all of these.
Right.
Just incredible.
I'm just looking at the Wikipedia on this too. They say it burned down in 1914 and then they rebuilt it completely.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
Which is I think it's also been added onto over the years as well.
Interesting.
There's a modern shot here just to give you an idea. There's also sort of an arched sort of coach, like old style coach entrance just over here. Kind of hard to see.
Yeah.
But like back in the day, your horse and carriage would go underneath there, and then the stables for the horses and the garages for all the carriages would be in behind here, and then you'd have a guy that would park and take care of all that for you as you checked into the hotel.
Built by Barrett, Blackadder, and Webster, architectural firm out of Montreal.
Looks very Bavarian, maybe, or Swiss almost.
Yeah, I've seen that in the chat there. Bavarian.
Yeah, or at least what we're told is supposed to look. Yeah, Bavarian. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it looks Alpine, right? Yeah. Or at least like what we're told. Like you expect somebody in lederhosen to be sitting up on the roof yodeling.
Well, that's why I thought maybe you jumped over to the Rockies. Like, where is this? So.
Yeah, it looks like it should be in the mountains, right? It's got that look to it. It's a beautiful structure with these big, huge, tall arches. Lots of windows, of course. But I mean, this. Oh, and then you got to get your cannon in there, Bod.
Yeah.
Got to get a couple of boom booms in there. Yeah, at least it's not. At least it's not pointing at the hotel like we saw at the old basket in Hamilton.
not Nanaimo, right? Was it Nanaimo?
Oh, sorry, Nanaimo. Yeah, where they were pointing, cannons pointing in 360 degrees. So there was cannons literally pointing into the town of Nanaimo. But yeah, this landscaping is just hinky as all heck to a guy. I mean, come on, man. But a beautiful place, absolutely wonderful.
Never heard of it. First time I've ever heard of it. Yeah.
Really, of the Algonquin, really?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. And that was in I forgot to show where that was. It's amateur hour over here.
New Brunswick.
Yeah, that was right here.
Yes.
New Brunswick, right here.
Yeah. Geography lesson. We're giving you Americans a geography lesson about Canada.
I think we're going to jump over to Newfoundland and Labrador here now, and then we'll jump over into Quebec. And then you're covering off Nova Scotia, aren't you? New Scotland.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We were trying to figure out how we could present this and who was going to research what, because we didn't want to double up. Right. It's hard enough finding pictures of these old hotels, especially when they've been knocked down. So. To waste time doubling up on these photos would have been kind of frustrating. Oh no, I'm sorry. We have one more in New Brunswick before we head over. And this is the McAdam Hotel. This is a Canadian Pacific Railway Hotel. And this one was built, the McAdam. I'm just scrolling through here. Bear with me. Not finding it now. Because, like you said earlier, some of these are really, really obscure. Like some of these are super duper obscure.
I had to jump in there.
What happened? Did you freeze or something?
Yeah, it froze up, so I'm back. I'm back, baby.
That's weird. Yeah, some of these are so obscure that I'm even having trouble finding where there it is. McAdam Hotel, built in 1901. It was a former railway station, actually, that what they did was when they built a new railway station, they converted this to a luxury hotel. And it's in New Brunswick. It's in the village of McAdam. So again, it's not even right in Fredericton.
Let's see it.
It's the largest passenger station in the province.
You're teasing. Let's see it.
I know, right? Quit screwing around and get to her there, bud. So yeah, the McAdam Hotel. And as mentioned, a former train station. I mean, you know, you'll be able to tell right when looking at it that, train station. It just has that distinct train station look, you know, with the overhang supported by the, you know, the beams, and the train would pull up here by the platform.
Yeah, that style of roof is very distinct, isn't it?
But it's beautiful, all built of stone, lots of big windows. You got to have all kinds of bobules and doodads on it, and you know, the portals, and again, all these angles for all these dormers in the roof line. So it was abandoned for a little while, and now it looks like this. Can you see they kept some of the tech up there, and they kept some of the outbuildings as well.
It's a nice looking building.
But again, it sort of follows that main narrative from the Wikipedia, right? With the turrets and what did they call that? The Scottish French style, or whatever the heck they tried to.
Scottish baronial?
Yeah, that Scottish baronial they tried to sell us on. Hi, Pat. Welcome.
Right. Just a step down from British royalty, Scottish baronial.
Oh, I see. Okay. Your volume is really, really low, by the way, Chris.
Oh, you can't hear me? Interesting.
Barely, for some reason.
Glitchy. Let me try this.
There, that's better.
You got me now?
Yep, loud and clear.
Okay.
This is an old photo. It's too bad it's so small, because this is a photo of when it was being used as a railway station, and it's just massive. I mean, no kidding, it was the largest in the province. Duh, you think? Look at it. So it's no wonder that it was bought and then converted to a luxury hotel, because it is quite beautiful, even as a railroad station. It's just over the top. Just a splendid place.
Construction materials are made.
All right, so now we're going to move over into Quebec. And geez, we might as well just.
All right, here we go.
We might as well just do it and do it upright, and blow everybody's minds toot sweet here with this thing.
The narrative buster.
This is the Chateau Frontenac Hotel. And again, chateau means castle in French, so they're not even trying to hide it. And this thing was built, the Chateau Frontenac was built in
start to finish
1893. This thing was built.
You have the start to finish dates?
Let me see. The hotel, it was referred to Chateau Frontenac as historical hotel in Quebec City. The hotel is situated in Old Quebec. Yeah, the old walled city. Mm-hmm. The historic districts, Upper Town, and let me see here. Design architecture. It's going to give us the.
I'm going to drum roll.
The Chateau Frontenac was completed in 1893. They started construction on it. Well, basically, wow. Okay, I'm gonna share this actually, because this is goofy as hell.
Mm-hmm. I think this building alone destroys the historical lie.
So here we go. The background of the Chateau Frontenac. Okay, in the 1870s, a restoration project began in Quebec under the British Governor General of Canada, aimed at restoring the capital to its former 17th century look. One of the contributors to the project was Lord Dufferin, who supervised the construction of the old city wall and many public buildings that followed the theme of old medieval European Quebec. Dufferin also made a plan to reconstruct the Chateau St. Louis, which was located on the Cape where the Chateau Frontenac currently stands, and served as the home of the French governors from 1620 to 1834. Dufferin's plan did not take off until the City Council and the Board of Trade adopted the idea and planned instead to construct a grand hotel on the site on the site to attract upper-class tourism to the area. But after failing to finance its construction, businessmen from Toronto and Montreal with connections to the CP Rail took control of the project. So it changed hands 3 times between 1620 and 1870s. Started off as Chateau St. Louis.
Well, there it is. Okay, interesting.
Which was the residence of the Governor General of British North America and the Lieutenant Governor of Lower Canada. Upper Canada, basically Ontario. Lower Canada, basically Quebec and the Maritimes, minus Newfoundland.
Newfoundland, yeah.
So it was already pretty big. Looks like it was a stone or brick structure.
Probably on a different site, or either never existed at all in my mind, or existed but not in the same area. That's how I look at those.
So they say it was completed in 1893 and was designed by an American architect, Bruce Price, and overseen by William Van Home, the Canadian Pacific Railway's general manager and a key developer of the Canadian Railway hotel system. The hotel was a part of a series of chateau-esque styled hotels built for the Canadian Pacific Railway Company, yada, yada, yada. All right, so now let's have a look at this thing, because they're saying that the walls were built at the same time as the hotel and all of that stuff. And, I mean, Quebec City is an ancient old world walled city, so I'm not buying that it was built in the 1890s.
It's a 18-month build time, May 1892 to December 1893. 18 months.
So a year and a half to build what we're about to look at. And we're looking at right here, Quebec City, right on the river here. And that's where that's the St. Lawrence. So that's where we're going to have a little peekaboo at this thing, because it's just baffling. Mm-hmm. It's baffling, man. I don't even know what to tell you.
It's a narrative buster.
Yeah. Sure. So here's that first one we were just looking at. I mean, come on, man. So this was built in 18 months. In Canada, in central, getting into northern Quebec. So you get cold winters with that wet, heavy snow. And winters basically from November through to March, maybe even April. So you're gonna have to slice your building time into thirds, and 1/3 of the year you're really not going to be getting much building done in the winter. Mm-hmm. And that's always, like you said, sort of a narrative buster right there. But I mean, look at this thing. Like, could this thing get any more fairy tale Rapunzel castle-like if you tried? I mean, look at all these turrets, conical domes, all the tech.
It's very busy.
Like this thing, the chimneys, the air exchange, or air catchment system, and this isn't brick, this is stone. Like a couple of different kinds of stone. And again, it's got that brass roof, or copper roof, I should say. Mm-hmm. But with all this tech on it. And as if that isn't enough, you got all the walls and everything that surround this thing. Like this down here, for example. You want to tell me that not only this, but all of this was built in the 1890s? No, come on, man. I've shown in my vintage footage midweek Wednesday videos on my channel old footage of where some of this old city wall is still semi-buried, and just the tops of these portals are sticking up out of the ground. So sort of from about halfway across this portal down is still all submerged and buried.
Oh, yeah.
So parts of the wall are still buried. And like this could even go further down underneath all of this crud here too. So who knows?
I'm sure it does.
But look at this. Stone, brick. Sorry, again, 2 types of stone, brick, copper, porcelain. Like, just massive. I mean, look at these compared to these big trucks. Then of course you got to have, you know, obelisks and gazebos and fountains. I mean,
we're gonna have to stay there.
Just keeps going and going.
Yeah, we should have an old world conference and stay there. We should book the banquet room there.
I mean, you're looking at, even for a basic room in here, it's like a couple of $1,000s a night.
Yeah.
Mind you, that's Canadian, so that's like what, $78 US. Hi. There's a couple of shots of the interior. This is the chapel, because it's so big it has its own chapel inside the hotel.
Praise the Lord.
So if you're, you know, because those French Canadians are all Roman Catholics, so they gotta have their Roman Catholic chapel right in the hotel. That's why I think this was a castle, really, and it was just founded and converted to a hotel, because it's like a lot of what we're told are old medieval castles had their own chapels in them as well. But this is looking more like the inside of a cathedral than a chapel.
Absolutely.
All this gold and all these arches and just all of the rosette inlays in the ceiling here. And this is a curved or an arched ceiling. So again, the level of craftsmanship and detail on this is second to none. This is just crazy.
18 months.
Yep, 18 months to put in the chandelier, all this woodwork with all this carving in it, all the detail recessed within the ceiling, all of these, just all of this detail. Yeah, a year and a half, no problem. You know, us Canadians, we're hard workers, I guess.
We are, that's right.
This is the sort of just off of the main lobby. This is only one of the grand staircases. There's a couple of these that all kind of look the same. So
it's very symmetrical.
So beautiful with all the big, huge arches, big, thick walls. You can see how thick the walls are in this thing.
Yeah.
This is just one of the elevators, just one of them. With all this adornment here.
That face is a bit creepy up top there.
Yeah, the paint on the painted ceiling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of these ceilings in this portion, the sort of the elevator lobby portion, it's all got like weird faces, flowers, fruit. So it's sort of a weird symbology.
Does all that fall into the 18 months, or they're going to tell us that it was chipped away at for the following 60 years? Right? Will that be the Wikipedia write-up next year?
Well, that's the thing, right? And that's the beauty of the Wikipedia, is they can just be edited, added onto, changed. You know, so I mean, who knows, right? Hey, Thomas, good to see you, sir. Welcome. Thanks for shooting in. What is he saying here? That's the 18-month construction time of the legendary Chateau Frontenac is the equivalent of the marvelously Hagia Sophia. Yes. Yes, built in a remarkable 5 years. Yeah. See, like the timelines.
No.
I mean, that was like your last video upload there, Chris, on your channel, Old World Exploration, with your timeline shift with the examples of 4 domed structures separated by like 1,000 years.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, they look identical basically. It's crazy.
Yeah, it feels like an oversight. Oh, the timelines. They didn't really think that hard about them.
Yeah. Logan's in the box. Good to see you. Logan Rothrods, welcome. Whiskey Pete.
Hey, Whiskey.
Howdy. Good to see you, Whiskey Pete. Just a couple more interior shots. This is just one of the dining rooms in the Chateau Frontenac. Again, the ceiling and just all of this intricate carving details. Again, this sort of sloped ceiling, and then you've got to add in this arch in here. So all these angles and the mathematics involved in this. The craftsmanship is just beautiful. And then you've got to have, you know, a coat of arms. And again, just the crystal chandeliers. And I mean, everything. It's ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous. Like,
amazing.
That could be a whole live stream in itself, is the Chateau Frontenac. You know, it's goofy, man. It's absolutely goofy. So the next one is also a CPR, and it's also in Quebec. This is in Montebello, Quebec, just sort of getting close to Montreal, actually. And this was built in, they say, in 1930. It's a log and stone hotel, railway hotel, famous for its stone interior fireplace, apparently. And where are we here? We are Montebello, Quebec. Look at this thing.
Nice.
With these big, huge stones and these massive stone arches.
Yeah.
Then you could see here the upper floors of the rest of the buildings are sort of log cabin style.
Yeah, interesting. It looks like a fun place to stay.
It looks pretty cool to me, actually. This is the chimney for that massive interior fireplace we'll see in a second. But I wonder what this is. And probably the old air catchment or air exchange system, maybe. There's a octagonal turret on the other side of the place here with a sort of a peaked conical dome, octagonal conical dome with a little tech on it as well. But even just the grounds, just lovely, very relaxing, almost sort of a country setting with this, because it's not right in a city like the Chateau Frontenac, for example. There's a modern shot of it. You can see something very suspicious down here, and this is why we wouldn't build like this, especially in Canada. Come on there, bud. All that snow's going to melt, then you're going to get your water in there, eh? I mean, that's not fun to deal with.
It makes me wonder if the log is a facade. The log, or else it was a ruin that was built upon or something.
Could be, or could it be that you got your stone here and then brick, and they put logs over top of brick, maybe?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Either facade or it's got
again like the bastion in Nanaimo.
Yeah, it reminded me of that. Yeah.
Here's another shot from a different angle. You can see that turret here on this backside of it. But all the grounds are just elaborately landscaped. They've got these big giant boulders and stones with gardens and stuff. And you can see down here too, there's all these big, huge arches. Very rustic looking, but still very luxurious, very beautiful. And here's that interior, that massive fireplace. You can see again here these big stone columns supporting the mezzanine, just all the woodwork.
Interesting room.
You'd have to almost be a shipbuilder, I think, to build. Yeah. It's basically an upside down sea ship. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a lot of joinery going on there. A lot of post and beam joinery.
A lot of angles, a lot of mathematics, a lot of craftsmanship. And here's that. This is the central. This is sort of their pride and joy. Is this crazy thing? You ever seen a fireplace like this before?
It's quite nice. It's quite nice. Definitely.
With this keystone and then these big giant stones in here.
Hexagon.
Yeah. I mean, and it sort of fits in with the aesthetic of the place that's sort of very rustic. So you're going to have like this nice big stone fireplace. But I mean, this is awfully fancy here too with your dog tooth or sawtooth. I mean, it's lovely. So yeah, that's their pride and joy in the Chateau Montebello in Quebec.
Never heard of it. Interesting.
And this one's still standing. You can still go and rent a room in it. And apparently it's very popular because it's close to a lot of the ski resorts. Hi, Eric. Eric Anthony in the house. Yeah, Eric. Obelisk fireplace, basically, right? Yeah. Joe King is here. Welcome. What else we got in the box? Old World Hastings. Yeah, that face. That's very creepy. Hey, Joe. Joe King. Welcome. This one was new to me. This is, I don't even know how to pronounce it. This is another CP Rail hotel. It's called Place Viger. Viger? I think it's Viger. Viger.
Place Viger, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure.
I think it's Place Viger, and this is, it's right in Montreal. And Place Viger was built in 1898, and then it's in Montreal, Quebec. And it was both a grand hotel and a railway station. So again, this one sort of served double duty, kind of like the main CP terminal in Montreal, that were sort of next to each other. But in this one, rather than having two buildings next to each other, they just had it all as one building instead.
I love how they're just giving us 1 year for the construction. Wow.
Oh yeah, I mean, it only takes a year to build something like this.
What a building. Whew.
Only takes a year. Place Viger Hotel and station. So again, double duty, this thing. So you're not just building a hotel with a lobby. This is also the train station. So you got to, I don't know, that's 3 times the amount of work.
In 1 year, though.
Look at the conical domes on this thing.
That's ridiculous.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I mean, there's dozens. Wow. I'm going to guess there's more on the back. I mean, and again, these dormers are interesting because they have their own little peak on them like this. It's not a straight dormer that comes out. You know what I mean?
Technically speaking, that's not a great design because the snow would accumulate in behind that dormer. Typically, we put a cricket or a saddle behind there.
Behind here, yeah.
So it's interesting. You see that a lot on old world buildings, but it's not a smart design if you're dealing with a lot of snow.
Yeah, and I mean, again, we're talking about Montreal here. No strangers to snow, and again, it's that wet, heavy snow. But this thing is just
the stonework
mind blowing.
So tight. Zoom right into those turrets. Like, look at the stonework. Oh my god.
Yeah, like to be able to join all of this, and then this.
Oh my god, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's redonkulous, man.
Yeah.
Redonkulous,
yeah.
Especially when they got the freaking horse and buggies parked in front of it, Again, you got to squint and tilt your head a little bit and close one eye because it's barely discernible, but there's a slight slope.
A little bit of a slope.
And you've got this is in old Montreal, so you're going to have brick and cobblestone streets all over the place. You can't swing a dead cat without hitting a cobblestone street in old Montreal. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, your streetcars. But get your low windows, mud flood windows.
Yeah.
Got these nice little bijou balconies here on this floor. I mean, this place it's nuts, amazing. Man. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it's a beautiful building. Wow.
There she is today. I think the railroad station is pulled out of this now. So now it is 100% a hotel, but still glorious today, Mm-hmm. Really well maintained. Just as we see up here, she's a beauty, eh? A beauty.
Perfect symmetry. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. Internet person asking, isn't Montreal on the side of a mountain? Kind of, yeah. Mont Royal is Royal Mountain, basically. So yeah, there is sort of a very high hill, almost right in the middle of the island of Montreal, because Montreal is basically a big island in the center of the St. Lawrence.
Yeah, I did do a video on Montreal too. So quite a few castles in Montreal, that's for sure.
This thing is just nuts. I mean, come on. Brick and stone and wow.
Yeah, it's a beauty.
Wow. Here's some old interiors. This is the stairwell. Look at the stairwell in this thing with the wrought iron, the old world detail on it.
Carlis de Tabernac.
That's right. Tabernac, Carlis. She's a beauty.
That's what they swear in Quebec, guys, in case you're wondering. It's all related to the church, all of the foul language.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, tabernac is literally tabernacle.
Yeah, Carlis is the chalice.
Carlis is that's right. It's weird, right?
It's like taking the Lord's name in vain, which would have been the worst thing you could do, probably.
Yeah, blasphemy is the worst thing ever in for swearing in French.
In Quebec,
we're going to move on now to this is the last one for Quebec, also in Montreal. This is the beautiful Windsor.
Oh,
This is the one that at the beginning, at the top of the live stream here, when we were looking at the mainstream narrative story behind this on the goggle.
Let me sit down. Sit down. Okay.
Brace yourself. Yeah. Brace yourself, everybody, because this thing is all kinds of wacky. But it's one of the most beautiful, glorious buildings in all of Montreal. This is the Windsor Hotel and Dominion Square over here as well. And then you can catch a bunch of old world stuff in the background. But this thing is... I don't even know what to tell you, man. Don't even know what to tell you when it comes to this thing. This was built in... bear with me here as I'm scrolling through my notes. Where are we?
I have it. But...
It's technically what they're calling the first CP Rail Hotel officially.
It's going way back, isn't it? This was the first one we mentioned in the beginning. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Why can't I find it? Oh, there. Windsor Hotel. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1878. This thing was built.
Yeah.
That's and considered to be the first grand hotel in Canada. For decades, it billed itself as the best in all of the Dominion. So it's the best hotel in all of Canada.
I got 1875 to 1878.
Okay, so that's the build time. So the completion date, 1878.
So 3 ans, is that right?
So 3 ans. We can bang this thing up in 3 years. Not a problem. Not a problem at all there, bud.
In the 1870s.
Look at this.
Whoa. Look at the circular gate on top of the dome.
This thing up here,
Yeah, like a crown. That's a crown.
Yeah, it looks like a wrought iron crown or something.
Beautiful.
Sorry, it gets very pickleated here. Sorry about that, but we've got the squishamids over here and here. Then you got what almost looks like an egg-shaped dome here, like an extended or upstretched dome a bit here.
Yeah, sure.
And the cupola that it's on is sort of extended upward too. And then you've got diamond-shaped portals here. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And then the wrought iron and glass canopies over the main entrances. This big, huge, massive entrance here with the pillars and columns.
Low windows, basement windows. I can see them right next to the ground.
Yeah, right here. Yeah, those are shooting right down, aren't they? Then you got to have your pediments, just like good old Greece for some reason.
Yeah.
Here's a shot from the side.
Those are some big flags they penciled in there.
Yeah, you got to pencil in some giant Union Jacks.
Yeah,
I love this style of roof. I finally heard the name for the style of roof, and I've forgotten it already.
Mansard. I think it's a mansard.
Mansard, okay. And again, with all these.
Mansard, like a mallard duck, but a mansard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then with all of these dormers coming out, and then portals above them. Like, come on, man.
Extremely difficult to build that. Extremely difficult.
Oh, not if you're a bunch of good old Montreal boys, eh? You can whack that thing up in 3 years there, bud.
Yeah.
There's a postcard of that same shot. Here's the back side of her in modern day. Man, oh man.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely incredible.
There you go. Wow.
Here's the ballroom.
Yeah.
I like the ceiling in this thing.
Incroyable.
Ooh la la.
Wow.
Just outstanding, man. Outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest in the Dominion. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
What a place. All right, so what have I got next here to have a peekaboo at here? We're gonna move to we're gonna jump over Ontario because you're gonna do Ontario, right?
Yeah, I had a few people were asking how we're doing it here. So Frankie, why don't you lay that out just so people know the chronology of how we're presenting one more time, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, for those of you that are just shooting in and joining us here, basically what we're doing is we're presenting CP and CN, so Canadian Pacific and Canadian National Railway hotels, old world style castle looking things. And we're going from east to west. So we started here in the Maritimes and in Newfoundland, Labrador, and I've just done Quebec City, Montreal. And we're moving in a westerly motion, and we're going to end up finishing off in Victoria on Vancouver Island in British Columbia. But rather than duplicating, what we did is we assigned ourselves, each of us, a bunch of provinces. So I'm doing Quebec, Manitoba, Alberta, and Chris is doing BC, Saskatchewan, Ontario, and you're doing Nova Scotia as well. And then you found some nice, delicious bonus stuff as well.
A couple interesting, ones that are almost
like little factoids and off the beaten path, shall we say. So I'm sort of showing my photo file folders first, and then we're going to take a break midway through here and then come back, and Chris is going to blow our minds with what he's found for New Scotland, Ontario, Saskatchewan, and then his home province of BC. And not much up in here, really. I mean, there's a couple in the Yukon, but they weren't railway hotels, and a lot of them are wooden. So they were fancy, but wooden and not the castle-like. So it's basically just sort of in the lower provinces here that we're going to be looking at. All right, so what have I got here? I've got, I just did Windsor. Okay, Fort Garry in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And to give you an idea of the Fort Garry here.
Canuckleheads 3, I think. Canuckleheads 3 featured Winnipeg.
Built in 1913. Downtown Winnipeg. Opened on December 11th, 1913. It was built by the Grand Trunk Railroad, later on purchased by Canadian Pacific. And then now it's operated independently. It's an independent hotel. So it's no longer actually a railway hotel anymore, apparently, which is odd. But anyways, wait till you get a load of the Fort Garry Hotel here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Right smack dab in the center of the country, east to west. Like this thing, again, just screams old world, old Europe. Like, look at I guess, like what they said in the narrative, that this sort of became distinctly Canadian style. And we do see a lot of this in these hotels and other buildings. Again, Parliament buildings and government buildings and even hospitals and stuff after a while. And I don't know how they landed on this as designated as, okay, we're going to designate this as distinctly Canadian style.
I'm taking it.
But I'll take it too. It's gorgeous. Don't even ask me what all these little doodads and bobules and thingies are up here, but it's simply beautiful, all the detail on this thing. And again, a massive grand entranceway here. You got some nice little bay windows going up in a column so that you can get some nice little, what we call bijou balconies here. Is that Eric? Yeah, it is. Old World Hamster Wheel Cranes. Howdy, Eric. Good to see you. Yar, there he is, Eric the Red. I think a couple of other people have been sneaking in on us here. Yep, there we go. Agape, welcome. Magnificent edifice. Un edifice magnifique. Yeah, I would agree. 100%. There it is. Modern day photo of it. Just a beautiful building, man.
Yep. So much detail at the top there. So many dormers coming off of that roof.
Yeah, again, just dormers on top of dormers, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So if you in Canada, if we're not putting a dome with another dome on top, which we love to do, then instead what we'll do to make it speedy, a little faster, is we'll put dormers on top of dormers instead. We always like to double everything. It comes from Tim Hortons to get your double.
Double.
We love the double up here, bud. Look at this. Come on. This with these carvings and just
man. What year did they say? 1913?
Yeah.
110 years old? Looks older than that. Wow.
Yeah, I think so too. The Hotel Fort Garry with the ugly light up neon sign on it now. They shouldn't even be allowed to bolt those onto the side of this beautiful stone structure.
I know.
Now,
right?
if they ever have to take that down or it changes ownership or whatever, now you're going to end up having to patch up the holes where you know what I mean? Like, just leave it be.
Also a two-year construction time, 11 to 13, 1911 to 1913.
Just crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the interior of this.
Wow.
This is just to the left as you walk in to the main entrance, the left of the lobby. It's just sort of one of the open dining rooms. Here's your bar back here. So you got to have big pillars to hold up the top of your fancy bar, and then just all the, again, ceiling, the carvings, the chandeliers, the woodworking. And this is Winnipeg.
This must be before they were doing popcorn ceiling. Right?
Yeah. Chris, you got to have your checkerboard floor to give a nod to our favorite punching bag brotherhood, the goofball Freemasons.
Wink, wink.
Those clowns. I love this room, even though it's sort of a weird peachy pink color, but it sets off all the gold very nicely. Because you want to have a lot of gold in Winnipeg to put in your hotel, I guess.
But you need it to draw the customers in, right? It's the only way.
Like, this thing is just jaw-dropping stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
And the floors here, like stone flooring, stone tile floors, and, you know, just all of this stuff. Just incredible. The detail way up here.
Wow. Yeah.
You know.
Wow. What is that material? I wonder.
I don't know. I don't know if this is one of those kits that they can apply that looks like stone or if it's carved. But from what I understand, these columns and all of this is stone. But with these, I mean, it could be plaster, it could be concrete that's poured out of molds. Who knows, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But it could very well be carved.
Mm-hmm.
I know here in Calgary, we see a lot of these on the outside of buildings, and I've looked at them, tapped on them, gotten up real close to them, and they're carved sandstone. So that could be the case with this too.
I marvel at how they're mounted, even how they remain so fixed for so long.
Yeah,
you know, it's like they almost don't feel surface mounted. It feels built into the actual structure itself, you know.
And it could very well be that this was a big piece of stone, and it was inlaid in here, and then it was carved, or carved and then inlaid after the fact, or what have you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but just a beautiful. And again, you know, Winnipeg, even Canadians kind of make fun of Winnipeg. You know, not much going on over in Winnipeg. It's just kind of the beginning of the prairies, and it's a small city. There's like maybe only 500,000 people in Winnipeg. Yada yada yada. But this hotel is just absolutely incredible. All right, where are we at here next?
You want to Alberta yet? Home province?
Gonna go to Brandon now.
Oh, yeah. Almost forgot.
Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. First, let's look at the Alexandra Hotel in Winnipeg. Not to be confused with the Alexandra Hotel that was in Calgary, or the Alexandra Hotel that was in Montreal, or the Alexandra Hotel that was in Toronto. This is built in 1910. And this is also in Winnipeg. And then we'll look at Brandon, because I was shocked, because Brandon's such a small city. Even today, very, very small city. So this is looking at it from the back side of it. Again, stone and brick. I like the shot because you've got the rail cars going over, and then you've got your tunnel with your cool arch bridge here, and then you've got the streetcars, electric streetcars going under the tunnel. But you still got horse and buggy.
Yeah, serious infrastructure there. Wow.
So you've got all of this going on here with your telegraph, your electric, your telephone, your streetcar, horse and buggy. Then you've got this big, huge, the second big, huge hotel in Winnipeg.
Mm-hmm.
And again, seeing a lot of this medallion work inside and out. I think these to me look like owls perched on something.
Owls would be my guess. Wow, that's beautiful.
And then this, I think, is fruit spilling down off of these, again, what I call bijou balconies, right? It's like this portion is recessed back slightly into your room, and you open French doors and you kind of come out, and it's almost like a little balcony or a terrace. But yeah, it's again, these big stones, your keystone, and then just all of these carvings. These look like lions' heads, I think.
Yeah, lion would be my guess as well. Wow, that's amazing.
And then your dog tooth or sawtooth up here, and then just, you know, in between each window, you got to put some kind of stone inlay in your brick, and then you want to do your gingerbread style above the, like, it's just incredible.
Frankie, the brick looks concentric toward those circles and those too. If you look, I mean, it's hard to make out because it gets grainy, but it almost looks like built out, like concentric.
Yeah, it looks like there's brick, and then it's built out here, and then built out another layer here, and then contains that in the center. I would agree with you there. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, this place is just a little bit of everything going on here with the, you know, the cartouches, the, I guess for lack of a better term, almost like gargoyles or statues, the dog's tooth, the inlays, the gingerbreading, the keystones, the huge arched entrance with a pediment there. Like, just, there's a postcard of her. You can see quite large. And again, these sort of wings that jut out to maximize sunlight exposure. Here's the interior of, again, just one of the dining rooms. This is actually the dining room just in the cafe, not in the formal dining room. You got your skylights up here and your carved wood and stone, and again, just all of this stone work up here. And jeez, man, imagine sitting down and having yourself a cup of coffee and I don't know, some maybe a nice croissant or something, or some kind of pastry, and just soaking in all this beauty.
Wow. I never heard of this one.
This place is just, I mean, you've got peacocks up in here, and I don't even know what this is. I don't know if it's wallpaper or if it's some kind of painting, or I don't even know what it is. But it's here, and then you've got carving up above and all this. Again, chandeliers, and just beautiful. Even the flooring. It's got all this beautiful inlay in here.
Wow.
Massive, massive pillars.
Look at that, eh? Wow.
This is just the rotunda. This is basically your, as you walk in to go to the front desk.
Royal Alexandra. What year was this built again? Did you say? Sorry.
Yes, it was. Royal Alexandria was. Let me just find it again. 1911 was the completion date on the build of it.
Wow.
1911. Demolished in 1971. It was actually closed in 1967. And then it stood vacant for 4 years until they tore it down in 71.
So it stood for 60 years.
Yeah. There you go.
My house is 70 years old.
Yeah, well, 60 years, that's good enough run there, bud. It's like time to knock her down, eh?
Yeah. Do we even have a... It's ridiculous. And I think the one we just looked at was built the year this was torn down, right? 11 to 13 was the other one in the same city.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, why so big? Like, these, they're holding up the entire structure, I guess, and it's just an entire colonnade of these things.
It's like Lord of the Rings when they walk into the dwarfs.
Oh, the Mines of Moria.
The Mines of Moria. Remember when Gandalf sheds a little more light and they walk in there and they see how spectacular it was? That's what that reminds me of.
Yeah, that's right. So, excuse me. You got me coughing. I'm all choked up.
Sorry. Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. Yeah, just incredible.
Yeah.
All right, now I guess we're gonna have a look at that one in Brandon, because Brandon doesn't want to be left out. And the funny thing about this is the Prince Edward Hotel, and I'll just show you again on the Goggle Maps.
Yes, I was going to ask. Yes,
exactly where Brandon is, because so here we go. So here we're doing Manitoba. So the largest city in Manitoba is Winnipeg. Okay, and Brandon isn't it just south?
I should know, but
I should know too because I've been there. The hell is it? It's not even big enough to even show up until you really start.
You got to type it in.
Yeah, I'm gonna. You're right. It's
kind
easier.
Of embarrassing. There. Ooh.
Oh no, it's southwest of Winnipeg. My bad. Southwest
on its way to us out here in the west.
But it's not even on the Trans-Canada, is it? No, it's not.
Or does it come down?
Oh, it does come down.
Yeah.
So it's just off the Trans-Canada. So here's Brandon, Manitoba. Very tiny little city, and it's pretty much smack dab in the middle of nowhere in southern Manitoba. Famous for hockey players, though. A lot of great hockey players come out of Brandon.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's have a look at this is the Prince Edward Hotel, which is also a Canadian Pacific hotel. And this one was built in let's see, Brandon. 1916, as they say, is when it was built. Closed in 1976, demolished in 1980. So again, 60 years, and then they close it. Not really sure why it's always bloody 60 years, but well, there it is.
Maybe it's 6 years, 6 months, and 6 days. 60 years, 6 months, and 6 days.
It could be. It could very well be. You know how they love to play the games with numerology and stuff.
There's a deep dive for you. That's one to look into.
So brick and stone. There's a postcard. The Prince Edward Hotel. There it is, pre-demolition. So you've got some sort of terraces or balconies in here. Big, huge arched entranceway. And then your lower sort of quarter of it is stone, and then brick. And then again, it pixelates a little. Sorry, but got some crests or cartouches or something along here, and some nice lines to it. Not as fancy as Winnipeg or obviously Montreal or anything, but still quite a lovely hotel, and still kind of a shame that it's gone. What is that in the background? Must be an old church.
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
Yeah, we should. We're going to be doing Brandon, I think, for the next episode. Here's a beautiful, pretty hard to find, unfortunately, very small photo, but beautiful interior. And again, it's sort of a promenade as you make your way up to the front desk from the main entrance. And again, you got to have big, massive pillars with the beautiful detail. And then the ceiling as well, just outstanding.
60 years.
I mean, look at the ceiling in this. Just in a little city like Brandon, with your arched entranceways, and again these
massive columns.
Yeah, big columns, and just lovely, you know, with these medallions with the chandeliers coming down from them. Wonderful. All right, I'm going to try to pick up the pace a little bit here because we still have so much to cover.
Yeah.
What do we got next here?
Alberta time?
Yeah, I think it's time for Alberta. I think it is time for Alberta. Yeah, I'm going to I'm going to do the Chateau Lake Louise first,
Mm-hmm.
which is right in the Canadian Rocky Mountains, right on Lake Louise. And again, Chateau in the name, French for castle. Now, this has gone through some expansions over the decades as well. So in some of the newer, more modern photos, you'll see that it's been built upon from the original structure. This is basically right in the middle of the mountains on a lake, although how this shoreline with these giant boulders on this lake were managed to put in place, I'll never know. But
that's completely natural, Frankie. That shoreline.
Yeah, that's a natural shoreline. That's how beaches look in Canada, eh?
That's beautiful.
Dude, we don't have sand in our beaches here, eh? We got giant rocks. But look at this again, big, huge arches, some kind of crazy open air tower up here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess a 6-sided turret with another little thing sticking out up here.
Is this 1800s?
This was built Chateau Lake Louise was built. Oh yeah, and by the way, this is a Canadian Pacific Hotel, built in 1890, and it's a Fairmont Hotel, CP Rail, built in 1890. Well, a completion date anyway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Looks a bit murky too, with the destroying by fire and replacing, and it gets so convoluted a lot of these places.
Yeah, there was a portion of it that was damaged or destroyed by fire, so rebuilt, but I think that was early on too. So
mm-hmm.
But you can just see again just the multi-levels of this thing. You've got some grounds here, then you got to go up, the ground slopes upward.
Okay,
you've got some arches here, and then it slopes upward again, and you've got another level, and then you got to go upstairs to get in.
We need some geography. Frankie, we need some geography context for those of the people who have no idea where Lake Louise is. We need to see this.
Yeah, let's
because it makes no sense. In my mind, it's like, really? They're going to undertake this in the 1800s?
Yeah, we're going to build in 1890 that castle-like structure. In Lake Louise, Alberta, right in the Rockies.
Yeah, right in the Rockies. There it is, the Fairmont Chateau, Lake Louise.
So here's Lake Louise. It's not far from Banff.
Oh.
Banff is over in here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a fairly secluded lake right in the mountains. These are big, giant, jagged, snow-covered Canadian Rocky Mountains, anywhere from 10 to about 12,000 feet above sea level.
Short growing seasons.
And again, you're wanting to build this massive thing, which is really a whole complex.
Mm-hmm.
This is part of the newer construction, as well as this back here, as well as I think this. But this portion with this and this is part of what we're told, at least, is the original.
Mm-hmm.
And this with all these different levels of the landscaping here. But yeah, just in the middle of nowhere, right smack dab in the Rocky Mountains. I mean, all this is just snow-covered Rocky Mountains here. So not exactly easy to be building up in this area at all.
Yeah.
Like just, it's not like you and a couple of your buddies are going to whack this up in a few over a few weekends over a couple of cases of beer.
Why not? Canadian, eh?
Well, I mean, I know we're pretty tough over here, but come on. I mean, and then it goes down, and down. So you've got a swimming pool here, and then you get to go to get back to the hotel from the swimming pool area. You've got to go around a huge wall, up a bunch of steps to this platform, then up a bunch more steps, or over here. There's levels all over this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a modern day photo of it. So this is supposedly the original structure from here to here, and this is all new, added on. But they tried to keep it looking the same. I think some of this was repairs. Some of this portion was damaged, if I remember correctly. But you can see like all these different levels. Like, why not just level the ground and build this thing? You're in the bloody mountains. You wouldn't want to make it easier for yourself, you know, with all the snow. And I mean, you're not digging into topsoil here. You're digging into rock and mountain.
Yeah.
Like, this is the kind of stuff you're digging into.
Blasting. You're blasting.
So why not just flatten this to make it easier for yourself in the long run? No. So I think that something occurred here that caused some of the land to semi-submerge or semi-bury some of this. Again, there's your giant boulder shoreline around Lake Louise for some reason. Yeah, it's a Sasquatch chateau. Yeah, exactly. Take note of how isolated Banff. This is in Banff National Park, Lake Louise.
I think they're anticipating Banff. Their anticipation is building for Banff.
Freya's here. Everybody can relax. Freya's made it. Hi, Freya. Welcome.
Hey, Freya.
Here's just a couple of quick shots of the interiors. Again, no expense spared. With the marble and the gold and the chandeliers and all this rigmarole for the ceiling. Again, big, huge columns and pillars. Grand staircase. Again, the combination of stone and wood, and it's just incredible. Just incredible. So that's your Chateau Lake Louise. I'm trying to delay gratification, but I think everybody's anticipating.
There's the drum roll. Hear it?
A certain hotel here. But before we get to the pièce de résistance for Banff here, let's quickly go to another mountain park, but this is in southern Alberta. This is Waterton, which is Waterton Park. And this thing is, again, sort of similar to the Algonquin in terms of it looks alpine. It looks like it should be Swiss or Bavarian. Well, you'll see. You'll have to excuse the first photo because it's super tiny. So as I blow it up, it's going to pixelate quite a bit. But
very picturesque area. Wow.
But yeah, right in the mountains. This is the southern end. This is, let me show you where we're at here, actually. On the goggle maps. Where we are here first. I should get in the habit of doing that right out of the gates. So we're right down in here, Waterton Lakes National Park of Canada. So right in southwestern Alberta, right here's this little dotted line is the border between Alberta and British Columbia. So we are right on this lake. So again, there's nothing here, just mountains, Alberta prairies, and British Columbia, and then down here is Montana and Idaho. So there's like nothing down here, man. Nothing down there. But they can still manage to somehow build this thing in there, which is just incredible to me. Again, looking very Swiss Family Robinson, but just gorgeous. And then you got to have a big giant spire sticking up on it. Again, sorry about the quality of the photo.
The setting is amazing.
The setting's beautiful. It's stone, brick, and wood, from what if I'm not mistaken. And then, again, you got to have dormers all over it because this steep sloping roof to shed the snow isn't complicated enough as it is. Here's a nice shot of it. Look at this. You think that just takes a guy 5 minutes to do that?
You try and build that modern day, it's a massive undertaking. In the location that it's at, too. Like, you have to factor all these things in.
Yeah. I mean, and even though this is, carved wood, I mean, that's still not it's not like you could do that blindfolded. And I like how, by the way, too, the whole thing actually is kind of down about 2 feet down in the ground from the sort of grassy area. Like as you come into any one of the entrances, you have to actually go down a couple of stone steps to enter this place.
Which is a bad design.
Yeah, especially with all the snow.
Yeah. Or something happened.
And again, just like you said too, Chris, the setting is just gorgeous. This is another one of those secluded hotels that you go to get away from it all. It's not in a big city. Of course, you still want to have some tech on there for some reason.
Wow.
And then it's stone retaining wall, because for some reason it's all different levels again. So potential mud flutter here on this as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this looks like it belongs in the Swiss Alps or something.
Definitely ski resort.
Nope, Canadian Rockies.
It's ours. Look at that.
Like this, all of this. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Just a beautiful place. Absolutely beautiful. All right, try to move it along, pick up the pace here a little bit.
Can you hear it?
Get the drum roll going, getting everybody all worked up.
Let's get to it.
Okay, let's do the Hotel Macdonald.
Oh yeah, nice.
Which I have briefly touched on my channel before on a live stream when I talked about Edmonton, and I know you've featured it in your Edmonton video on your channel as well, I think.
Yeah, I checked it out in March while I was in Edmonton as well. Yeah.
And again, Edmonton here is in sort of central Alberta. It's the capital city. Whoops. It's the capital city here in Alberta. I do plan on heading up there hopefully within the next couple of weeks. So yours truly right over here. Frankie, New West Reset here. Chris at Old World Explorations up over here. And Edmonton is sort of right, pretty much from north to south, almost right in the middle. It's our capital city, but it's much smaller than Calgary. And it's sort of a lot of, again, much like Calgary, oil rigs and farming around here, and cattle ranches. And as mentioned, our capital city as well. And the Hotel Macdonald, right in the downtown core in Edmonton, is a CP? Yeah, it's a CP rail. No, it's a former Grand Trunk hotel. So I guess would have made it there purchased by CP. So this thing, they say, was built in 1915. And it's basically in what was in the heart of downtown Edmonton. It's still there. Right off Jasper Avenue. And the nice thing about this one is it also had a funicular as well. One of those incline railways, which are always fun.
Yeah. Building,
So,
4-year construction time, 1911 to 1915, we're told.
So here's the majestic beauty up on the hill. This is the river valley here. This is the Little Red Deer, the Red Deer River, the Red Deer River. But there's the beauty there. And you could just make out off to the side right here, the funicular with the building.
Short-lived, right?
Yeah. The structure is still there, but it's not an operating funicular anymore. It's just sort of like a memorial. It's been memorialized. But yeah, beautiful. Again, with the conical domes that are octagonal. Again, all the little doodads on the top. Beautiful grand stone entrance here with sort of a rooftop access to the top of this thing. Excuse me. You can see.
Have you ever been in that one?
Yeah, again, just in the lobby.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's absolutely gorgeous. You can see here, it shoots right down to the side here.
Yeah.
So you get some really, these actually, if this was not excavated, these would actually be below ground level. This ground level here. Again, you've got all your little nodes and crazy stuff. And again, all the angles for your dormers that you got to work into this thing.
So Wikipedia says that Grand Trunk purchased and began to build in 1911. So they purchased the land and they already knew what they were going to put there.
Oh yeah, they just didn't waste any time, I guess, there, bud.
They didn't
Just
know.
hop, skip, jump right to it.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Look at the roof on this thing again, too, you know. The copper roof with all the tech on it. Just incredible. Edmonton, Alberta. About, I don't know, 650, maybe 700,000 people.
Yeah.
This is just the interior of the banquet room. Again, not even the formal dining room, just the banquet room.
Mm.
But just beautiful. Beautiful detail. By the way, all of these hotels that I'm showing and all the ones that my friend Chris is going to be showing here in the second part of the stream, these are all five-star hotels. Every single one. Look at this.
Yeah, interesting.
This is the formal dining hall. It's under the dome.
Mm-hmm.
Just gorgeous. All right, so that's your Hotel Macdonald in Edmonton. We're getting to it. We're going to do the Palliser in... We'll do the Palliser Hotel in Calgary, then we'll finish it off with the Banff Springs Hotel, which everybody's been chomping at the bit for. By the way, that hotel in Waterton, I forgot to mention, is called the Prince of Wales Hotel, which can get confusing because in Canada and in the UK, between the two of us, there's a couple of dozen Prince of Wales hotels, of course.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So here we are now, my hometown stomping grounds here in Calgary, Alberta. This is going to be the Palliser Hotel, which I've done a boots on the ground. This is a CP Rail hotel as well. And the story on this one for the Palliser is that it was built in 1914. And then it was expanded and added on to, I think in the 20s, maybe? In the 1920s, I want to say.
Yeah, I see 1911 to 1914, so 3 year on that one.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
But you'll see here in a second what I'm talking about with the addition. So this is sort of the backside of it here. So originally when it was built, it was only built up to this level. And then later on, they built it a few more floors onto the top of it.
Hmm.
This is the backside of it. And then this is the CP Rail train station here, which is no longer there.
Hmm.
But this is the Palliser Hotel here. This is the back, the south-facing side of it. This is the north-facing side.
Look at the mansards. Wow.
This is 9th Avenue Southwest.
Wow.
So originally it was built to this point. And it was then the tallest building in Calgary. It was considered a skyscraper. Mm-hmm. And then a few years later, they built it up because, which I guess is good, rather than knocking it down, because Calgary outgrew it, is what they said. So they had to expand on the hotel. So rather than knocking it down, they just built up.
Yeah, but they took those off. Didn't they? They took those mansard roofs off.
Well, this is the after being built up. So it was shorter than this before.
But modern day, it's not there.
Isn't it? I think it is.
Those mansard roof?
I'm not sure. We'll have a look here.
Okay, sorry. Look at that.
Now I'm doubting myself. Yeah, crazy cartouches here. Big, huge arches. And lots of these little bijou balconies and stuff. And like when royalty or big government, big shots come to Calgary, this is where they stay.
Of course.
And this is glass and wrought iron, held up by a couple of lions' heads, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then these recess down, starting over here about 2 feet, but by the time you get to this end, it's about 7 feet below the sidewalk level here. There's actually arched doorways that go under these stair bridges here.
Par for the course, old world.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Look at that. Yeah.
There's a modern day shot of it. Really, really well maintained building. I mean, this is the crown jewel of Calgary in terms of our hotels. This thing is, we're all pretty proud of this thing because it is a very beautiful building.
It's nice. It's very nice. See?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. My mistake. My bad.
They squared them off.
At some point during the renovation, because you could see the line where they stopped building right here.
Mm.
And then they added the additional floors. So yeah, they've changed the roof line since. I didn't even notice that. Thanks for pointing that out, bud. It's crazy.
They do that a lot. They take the tops off, put them on, and they take them off real quick.
Yeah, exactly. This is the ballroom inside the Palliser Hotel, and there used to be a broadcast on CBC radio every Sunday. There was a live jazz band that would play here starting in the 1920s, right through to just before World War II. And they used to broadcast live. Not Sundays, every Saturday night out of this ballroom all across Canada.
Oh, yeah.
And it was live jazz music, and they would have, well, ballroom dancing, jazz dancing, I guess. There's another shot. Obviously, no question as to why anybody would want to get married in here. It's beautiful in here. I mean, just a gorgeous setting. It's a modern photo, but I just, with the black and white, sometimes you can really see the detail a lot better in black and white with the shading and the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, beautiful. Again, this is just the informal dining room. This is the lobby. With your granite or marble, I don't know, giant pillars, and again, just all this detail and the gold and the just outstanding. Grand staircase with the mosaic tile flooring on the stairs, and this is just mind-blowing stuff, man. Mind-blowing. So that's your Palliser Hotel, Calgary, Alberta. And, we might as well finish off Alberta with the Banff Springs Hotel that they say was built, completion date on it, 1888.
No,
it's
very convoluted. Very convoluted timeline on this one, I think.
Yeah. Let me just pull up the file here for the Banff Springs Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
No, I could have pulled a million pictures of this thing because it's probably maybe after Chateau Frontenac is probably the most photographed chateau style hotel in Canada, I would guess.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So there's a bazillion pictures, but I wanted to, and I've shown pictures of this on my channel before, so I wanted to kind of at least show different photos. So again, up on a hill, and some of it, there's walls, big stone walls. And again, there's different levels. And it's a complex hotel. So you have your main body of the hotel, but then there's other buildings where there's little separate chalets that you could rent. This is the golf pro shop golf building because there's a huge golf course on the lake here.
Oh yeah.
It's just, the complex just goes on and on and on and on. And this is also a CP rail building, as you can see as well, the setting, the background. Again, right, just like the Waterton and just like Jasper, you're just in the middle of nowhere, right in the smack dab in the middle of the Rockies. I mean, there's a perfect example of this thing looking like a mountain popping out of the mountains. You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
And depending what side or edifice you're facing depends how far down the darn thing goes down. Like in this front lower section here, it goes down like 5 or 6 more floors compared to other parts of the structure. So it's absolutely amazing. And again, that trademark, what they say, has become sort of the Canadian architectural style of these chateau hotels. You can see all the other buildings. There's chapels. There's, like I said, little chalets you could rent. The golf course. This is taken from the golf course. See, you got levels here, then more levels, then more levels.
Yeah, looking at the Wikipedia, they're saying the original 5-story hotel burnt down. And then
Of course.
1914, the main tower in the middle was built. And then 1927, they're saying the wings were added on. But just within single years, they're telling us.
Yeah.
Not enough info.
I don't buy it for 1 second. I think this is an old world building. I think this thing has been here for a long time. And it looks like it's made out of red brick, but that's actually stone.
Yeah.
And it's so aged that it's changed color, which is another reason why I think this thing is really old. But can you imagine, like here's a beautiful shot of our frigid Canadian winters, very frosty. Picture -20 Celsius. So we're getting around what, -10, -15 Fahrenheit. It's pretty cold. Imagine trying to build this thing in this setting. Just all the obstacles you'd have to overcome.
Scaffold's covered in an inch of ice.
Yeah.
You don't really want to step on it because you're going to go flying.
And the railway tracks aren't actually that close to this hotel. They're about a mile away. So you would still, even if you could say, well, they brought in all the building materials on the train. Well, sure, of course. But then he still had to get it from the rail up the side of this hill at the base of this giant freaking mountain and build this thing.
And get it done in a year each time. Like, it's ridiculous.
And again, you could see here sort of the coachway for the coach house. I think this is the old coach house here.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, you could just see stone and sandstone again. And it's just this thing again, it goes on, and there's walls and levels. This thing is just absolutely incredible.
Haven't they done G20 summits there?
Yes, they at least one that I know of, but probably more than one.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the last one? I think that might have been the last one for Banff Springs Folder, believe it or not. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's a real, again, a narrative buster, and one that deserves a closer look for sure.
Yeah, the Banff Springs is just, it's a head scratcher. Absolutely. Hey, Taft, how are you? Taft Hardington. Good to see you from Southeast Texas. Don't mess with Texas.
Taft Hardington, that's a hell of a name. I like that.
Do not mess with Texas. Paul Johnstone, welcome. Good to see you. Lion's heads are pharaoh. Oh, okay, there you go. Represent the pharaoh. That would make sense, being that the Sphinx is suspected to have formerly had a lion's head, and it faces due east on what would have been the summer solstice with Leo constellation rising. So yeah, pharaohs, lions, kind of makes sense. Nate and Jamie are here as well. Good to see you. Thank you very much for shooting in. Once again, my name's Frankie here at New West Reset, and we've got Chris, Old World Exploration. Welcome to the Canuckleheads show.
Thanks for being here, folks.
Go ahead and do all the YouTube stuff. Like, subscribe, hit us up in the chat, in the live chat. Let us know you're here, how you're enjoying it. Hopefully you're enjoying everything so far.
This is an in-depth look at the hotels of the railway hotels of Canada. Something that Frankie and I wanted to do for a bit here. We knew there'd be a lot to cover. It's like an expose. It feels like we're really getting into just showing you all of these structures.
And even with just quickly going through the photos, we're coming up on 2 hours, and we're really only halfway there.
Yeah.
And with that said, what do you think, Chris? Time to take a little bit of a break, wet your whistle a bit.
Sure.
And then we'll come back, and you can share with us your mind-bending files of what you found for Nova Scotia, Ontario, Saskatchewan, British Columbia.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right. So I've put together just a quick little video here. And this one is going to be actually, excuse me, footage from the 1930s, if I remember correctly, early 30s. So right in the height of the Great Depression, which also occurred here in Canada at the same time as the US, the dirty 30s. And this is of the aforementioned and slobbered all over Banff Springs Hotel. So it's just it's a quick one. We've got about two and a half minutes or so. And then we will come back to it here. I just want to make sure I'm opening the correct file. Yeah, here it is. So yeah, just a couple minutes and then we'll be right back. So stay tuned. Thanks a lot. We'll see you in 2 shakes. All right. And we are back. What did you think of that? That's pretty
some sweet strings there.
Like when you oh yeah, that guitar is great.
Yeah.
That's in fact I saw in the chat here, Joe King, that's my jam. Yeah, me too. Hey, Machiavelli's here. Hello. And who else did I see? Oh yeah, Ulanor von Krieger is in the house as well. Welcome. But yeah, like it's one thing to look at old photos, right, of some of these old hotels, but when you see old video footage, it's just, it takes it on a completely different level. You know, you just look at it and you don't even know what to think.
What the hell is that?
It's basically all that comes to mind, you know.
I know. It's kind of amazing, all of this stuff. Even in our own backyard too, right? Canada, you don't really think of this type of architecture. You have all these stereotypes that we're breaking with this research as well, I think.
I think so too. And I touched on that last night on my stream. Once again, by the way, welcome to the Canuckleheads show, by the way, episode 5 here. Railway castles and hotels across Canada. 4,000 miles from coast to coast of old world opulence. Going east to west here, looking at hotels built supposedly by the 2 main and 1 sort of third player in the hotels here, the railroads, CP Rail, Canadian Pacific, CN Rail, Canadian National, and the Grand Trunk Railroad. So in the first half, we looked at going east to west. We looked at some of the Maritimes, Quebec, Manitoba, Alberta, that I was showing you here, and now Chris is going to show his stuff and the files and everything that he's found for hotels for, what was it, Nova Scotia?
Yeah, Nova Scotia,
Ontario, Saskatchewan and BC, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Greetings from Scotland.
Oh,
Says Spookies. And then Paul Johnstone is Scottish Canadian. So there you go.
Spookies is doing some good work over there too, uncovering a lot of the old world in Edinburgh. I saw a recent one, so I enjoyed that video. So check them out.
Yeah, always good to give shout outs to other channels, especially when they're, doing boots on the ground in their own corners of the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one more piece of the puzzle that we can slide into place. Every little bit helps, whether you're looking at old photos, whether you're doing boots on the ground, whether you're going to libraries and looking up old books and old maps, whether you're digging through PDF files, or just everything is one more piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, it seems to be growing too. I think more people are catching on to this historical deception, or whatever you want to call it. Feels like it.
Joe King says, I've been in the trades for 30 years. It gives you an accurate idea of what it takes to build one of these places. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have a bit of a construction background as well, don't you, Chris?
Yeah, I got a couple decades under my belt too, and it's one of the reasons I got into this, because the disconnect between what's possible, or what should be possible according to our historical narrative, and what we're actually seeing is so far apart. Right? There's something we're not being told.
And I think I can speak for both of us here when I say that we're not necessarily saying that some of these buildings could not be built by talented tradesmen and artisans and craftsmen today.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the fact that they say that we can't because it's cost prohibitive and so on and so forth. But then you look at the official narratives of some of these buildings, and even just today on this show, 1 year build time, 2, 3 years, maybe 6 years,
Mm-hmm. It's by the line. Right?
We couldn't build a modern 12-story modern hotel, like a cheap I don't know, Hilton,
yeah,
in 2 years with all of our modern day technology.
Yeah,
that's what we're really calling into question more than anything. It's like, what, they built that in the Rocky Mountains in 2 years.
Mm-hmm. And then that begs the question: why the lie? Why the deception?
Yes.
And then you have to ask yourself, well, you can't just say, well, maybe they just lied about the date, but everything else is on the up and up, right? They're lying about everything, folks. Everything. That's how I look at it, anyway.
That's right. I mean, it's at this point, it's like trying to pick pepper out of gnat shit, or gnat shit out of pepper, however that expression goes. I mean, it's purposely done where they mix truth with lies and half truths with half lies.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, even again yesterday on my stream, there was some confusion about the Calgary Herald building, the old Calgary Herald building, because at one point there was two of them.
Oh yeah.
They housed both buildings at separate times in their history, and then one of them was brutalist facaded in the 60s, and then they were torn down at different times too. So it adds chaos to confusion in a lot of ways to the main narrative too. So I'm thinking, if I'm just confused now, 50 or 60 years later, what's it going to be like in 100 years for some of these old buildings,
Well, and then systematically erasing them from our past. They're not praised in our history. They're buried. They don't want us to find a lot of the ones that have been torn down. Mm-hmm. They don't want us looking at it. They don't want us to marvel at the architecture. That's how I feel.
That's right. Yeah. Taft is asking, any idea why this type of architecture is no longer built? Most people say it's too expensive, but like, it's always been expensive. And there's no debts. That's right. I mean, it's we don't do it like that anymore because there's not enough money. Really? You bastards just print money all the time. So don't tell me there isn't any money. And don't tell me there isn't a workforce. There's people out there looking to work, want to work. There's some people that'll take on a second job.
Yeah.
Just to get the extra income. Especially young men in their mid to late 20s, they're perfectly capable of working 2 jobs, a full-time job and a part-time job on the side.
Yeah. We're also at a time where a lot of the building materials are petroleum byproducts, right? So it's coming out of the petroleum industry, which is the whole Rockefeller thing coming out of the early 1900s. We have all these, polystyrenes, and we have all these adhesives that it's so intricately woven with the petrochemical industry, right?
Yeah, and the modern day robber barons, basically, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a whole different psychology and philosophy.
Basically, what they do is they give us a couple of half-assed excuses rather than actual reasons. They say, oh, it's cost prohibitive, or oh, people worked harder back then, or oh, tastes change and styles change.
Mm-hmm.
So you mean to tell me that the average Joe or Jane Blow walking down the street in any city, anywhere in the world, would prefer to look at a glass rectangle building than some of these beautifully decorated, ornate structures of the past?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's tastes have changed to where we prefer glass and concrete monstrosities over these old world beauties. I don't think so.
No, it's the aesthetics is completely different energy.
Yeah.
It's just completely different energy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Freya. She says they act as if it's out of fashion. Yeah, my thoughts precisely. Yeah, 12-hour work days, 6-day work weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy excuses.
Yeah.
So what do we got here, my friend? What's
all right? So
what have you got in store? Everybody, by the way, everybody, get the teaspoon that you were using to slurp up some of the deliciousness I was showing. Get rid of that teaspoon and grab yourself a big tablespoon or a soup ladle.
Stop.
Because you find some good stuff, my friend.
I don't know. I found a few interesting things, but
you always find some great photos. So that's what I've been waiting for.
I enjoyed your walk through the country. You guys can walk with me now, east to west, and I'll show you what I found for hotels. So we started in Nova Scotia with my somewhat glitchy Google Maps here. A little bit of a different version. We have to thank Google for everything, don't we? Maps and search engines and all these things. So we're looking at Halifax.
And you know what? The funny thing is, for some reason lately, in the past few months, Google and StreamYard don't get along. Like YouTube specifically and StreamYard sometimes get glitchy with one another, which is strange because when I first started live streaming a couple of years ago, basically once I was able to with this channel, it wasn't a problem. It was smooth sailing. So I'm wondering if maybe Google tried to buy StreamYard and StreamYard told them to go pound sand.
And
now Google's pissed.
Now they want everyone to go Zoom because they have a partnership with Zoom or something like that.
Yeah, who knows, right?
You never know. Yeah. So we started in Halifax, Nova Scotia on the East Coast. This is the Westin Nova Scotian Hotel here. You can see the grounds of it are pretty spectacular. You got a statue up front.
You got some symbolic geomancy, I think, isn't that what they call that?
Is it?
with the pathways and the
sure, yeah,
geometric design.
Yeah, it's a 2-year build time, 1928 to 1930. 2 years, right in that. They finished it off right as the Great Depression took hold, I guess.
Just made it.
By the skin of their teeth, right? Yeah. This is the RMS Olympic up here. Or is it the Titanic? Well, that's worth another video in itself, I suppose. But so you have a shipping dock, and I'll be ending my presentation with a shipping dock in Victoria as well, on the other side of the country.
So not only is it a railway hotel with access to the is it CP or CN or Grand Trunk? Oh no, it's CN. Nova Scotia CN
Railway. Yeah.
So you've got ship access and train access as well as street access.
That's right. Yeah. And here you
have probably trolley access too at some point. So this thing was hooked up.
There's a trolley out front there. It's looking like the 30s possibly.
Beautiful.
So if this was completed in 1930, this photo, maybe from the 40s actually. What do you think? Yeah. Automobiles.
I would say early 30s. This is pre-war, pre-WW2.
So this would have just been built. This does not look like a new building at all. Even just the way it's landscaped and all that, timelines don't make sense as usual.
Yeah, judging by those cars, those are late 30s cars at the youngest. Yeah.
310 rooms, 15 floors, they're saying. Interesting.
Cyril is in the house. Good to see you, Cyril. Welcome, welcome.
There it is. Now you can see it's been built onto here with the box. A couple boxes appear. Try to make it look a little fancy.
Yeah. Oh, so it's a Westin hotel now. Okay.
It's a Westin Nova Scotian. Yeah.
So that's why they've started to brutalize it a little bit. It's because it's not a Fairmont hotel anymore.
That's right. Yeah, you can see some differences here. This is new out front here.
But you see, as Freya and Terry in the chat were saying, tastes have changed to this. That's what people prefer now, the blocky stuff. Yeah, come on.
Yeah. That's the Nova Scotian in Halifax. We also have the Lord Nelson, which I'll jump over to here. Looking very similar, the Lord Nelson.
Yep.
Construction. Nice. Here, this is a good one. Construction started October 21st, 1927, and it opened October 23rd, 1928.
Wow, almost to the day, a year.
That's how you meet your deadlines, folks, in the construction trades.
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
Yeah, apparently this is right before the crash again.
Woo, just made it under the wire again.
So they threw both these two hotels up in the same city within the same 3-4 year period. This is what they're.
Oh yeah, because the railroad was coming through, y'all. That's why. Come on now, buddy. So you got to whack. It's not only do you have to put the railroad in and all the train stations, but you got to put the hotels in.
That's right, all at the same time. Get two in. So no, we want two hotels, not one, two.
Yeah, and like my live stream yesterday on my channel too, all the other buildings that the railroads had to build, like their land acquisitions building and their administration buildings and their, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All built at the same time.
This is a bit of the interior for the Lord Nelson. So you're getting some octagons on the roof. You see octagons a lot in the old world research.
That's quite a beautiful detail on the ceiling in that place, though. Like, wow.
Well, that ceiling was probably done in a matter of 4 hours, right near the end of completion, right? Because they had to get open for October 23rd.
Yeah. Right? All right, guys. I'll tell you what. I'll bring in some beers and pizzas, and I'll give you some overtime if you can bang this up by midnight.
Pulling it all night.
We got a soft opening tomorrow.
That's right. That's right. I've heard that before. That's funny. So I have two hotels here in Halifax. There's a third one I want to show you, and this one was quite obscure. Is this the one? Yeah. Okay, let me find the name. There, Intercolonial Railway Station in Halifax.
So a station with a hotel built on the front of it.
Yeah.
And it's got a squishamid on the front too.
Yeah.
Huh. Look at this. That's beautiful.
It is, right? And this wasn't on the Wikipedia write-up when you get into that.
No, and by the way, in the description below, I put a link to a list of all the hotels supposedly built by CN, CP, and Grand Trunk. So that's in the description as well. So if anybody wants to kind of do their own deep dive, as well as a few odd from other train companies as well.
Yeah, the Intercolonial.
Like Great Northern Railroad, for example. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, this one, the Intercolonial Railway, was a rail line that operated from 1872 to 1918, connecting Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Quebec, and Ontario. I'd never heard of it.
Me neither. So all the maritime provinces that are not islands. So no Prince Edward Island and no Newfoundland.
Not that I could see there, no.
Okay. That sort of makes sense. I wonder why they didn't go down into the States, though, into Maine or New York or Vermont. It's right there.
I wonder. Here's a nice rock wall for you here on the side, if you can see that.
Yeah, there's a freaking train car beside it. That's how big that rock wall is.
Yeah, it's pretty massive infrastructure for an early time period.
And then 4 clocks on the tower on that hotel, by the way, too.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
jeez.
Yeah, right here. Same one. Yeah. So this must be...
That's a weird. So the street level slopes up really funny on the right there.
Yeah, here, yeah, and it comes up here and looks like you can access from the street here, come down the stairs into the train.
Yeah,
Right down here.
yeah. I think you're right.
Very interesting.
That looks like sort of the cab, like the horse, like what they call a hansom cab, I guess in New York. The horse-drawn cabs pull in there into the front, and then, like you said, you can come down the stairs and then catch one of these horse-drawn taxis.
Pretty quaint.
So maybe whipping people back and forth between different train stations or hotels or different parts of the city.
Interesting, right?
Because it's much lower down in the ground than the other building to the right, the big building there, the gray one.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
Yeah, that's my Halifax file. That's Nova Scotia. That's what I have for Nova Scotia.
Jeez, that thing's crazy. It's nice.
Yeah, it's kind of buried too, right? This is obscure. Hard to find this one. So that was one of my little gems that I dug out.
Covered breezeway revival style.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right, I guess since we're going east to west, I'll hit Ottawa first, then I'll hit Toronto. I pulled two out of Ottawa, the two big ones, really, out of Ontario.
Okay.
So we're going to start with the Laurier.
Yes. The
Chateau
Chateau Laurier.
Yes. Which is right at the heart of Ottawa, as we'll see here. Let's start with this one. Chateau, another chateau. Eh?
Laurier Castle, basically.
Check that one out, eh? And we should do a little poll if anyone wants to guess how many years. Don't do a search, don't cheat. How many years did it take for them to build this? I'll say it was completed in 1912, which is completely unbelievable.
Yeah, that's what they say apparently.
How many years? You guys in the chat, take a guess how many years they say for this one. I'll zoom in to give you an idea of how intricate the detail work is here. No, it's not 1,000 years old, people. It's 100 years old.
It looks like it's 1,000 years old.
Oh, I see a 6. I see a 3. I see a 2. If you said 3, you were correct. 3 years. Imagine the guy putting the cap on the stone here. Right? Heck of a job.
3 years to build that, eh?
1909 to 1912, we're being told.
Jeez. Yep.
Hogwash?
Yeah, I see it on its wiki. Yeah. Cost $2 million Canadian.
Even?
Yeah, 2 million even. That's what it says.
We see that number pop up a lot actually in the old construction.
Well, that's your standard bid for a railway chateau castle style hotel. $2 million.
Look at this.
Doesn't matter if it's right on the Ottawa Canal and Rideau Canal, or if it's out in the Rockies. $2 million.
It's all blockwork. Look down there below the street level. You see that?
Yeah.
Is that a drawbridge?
It looks like a.
Oh no!
It looks like it's one of those canopies, but it does look like a drawbridge.
Yeah. It had me for a second.
But it's one of those steel and glass or iron and glass canopies. Again, usually lions, heads holding up the chains or what have you.
That's right. Yeah, I didn't scroll down low enough. Look down here. You can see too. Below street level, a lot of action going on below street level.
Maybe there used to be a drawbridge on it back when it was actually a castle before they found it and
back in the medieval era, right?
Switched it to a hotel. They're like, what the hell how can we explain away this beautiful thing? We'll just call it a railway hotel.
Now they're probably going to tell us this is an early version, and then they added onto it as they always do. You can see the difference here, right there to there.
Yeah.
So they're going to say that they added this part on later, which makes no sense. It looks like it's all part of the same. I've talked a lot about the fakery that goes on in a lot of photographs. It's very difficult to tell and trust much of what we see because they are playing with manipulating timelines through these visuals, I think, as well. So
it's really easy to upload a photo onto the interwebs and say this photo was 1920 when really it's 1885. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's hard
especially
to
if there aren't people or vehicles in the photo. It's most especially if there aren't vehicles. If there aren't cars or horse-drawn buggies, then you can't even ballpark what decade it's at, right?
Yeah, right. And then you're getting all these conflicting, like, look at this too. This is elevated above here.
Look how low that goes down there.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? It's pretty amazing. Oh, this is another good view of that too. Look at that. I know it's a rendering, but look at the infrastructure for this early time period in Ottawa. This is a canal, right? This has to be
that's the Rideau Canal.
Rideau Canal, of course, yes.
Yeah. So you've got the Rideau Canal, and then the rail, the CP rail right next to it, and then the hotel's right there. And then look at all the buildings that are surrounding that.
Yeah, that area is absolutely ridiculous. Here's a modern day look at some of that stonework around there, reminding me of Frontenac as well, with the massive, megalithic block stone wall.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Amazing.
Yeah, the Chateau Laurier is a beauty.
It is, yeah. It's one of those where the elites go to do their things.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, Ottawa, I think, was like one of those what they call like white cities, like Chicago and San Francisco. I think Ottawa, unfortunately, they've torn down so many old world buildings, but I think Ottawa, definitely in the older part of Ottawa, kind of where we're looking now in these photos. And then in and around, obviously, the Parliament buildings and the Parliament Library. That was like some beautiful golden or white old world city.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's Ottawa. I haven't done a video yet for my channel, but it's on the list for sure. Here's a quick look at the interior of the Laurier, just to give you a sense of.
Jeez, look at the floors.
Yeah, the woodwork.
Stone and wood and
all of this
inlays and plaster, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, and then you can see that same shape we start to see with the arched ceilings and then openings here. There has to be an energetic reason, I think, for this shape as well. There must be something more to it, I think.
Yeah, healthy energy, healthy airflow.
Yeah,
maximizing daylight. I think that's why a lot of the old world windows were arched on the top, because I think it was meant to reflect the shape of our realm in terms of the firmament or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, interesting.
But also to follow the path of the sun as it quote unquote moves across the sky, where at midday it's higher in the sky than it is in the morning or in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
And then depending on what time of year, here in the Western Hemisphere or in the Northern Hemisphere, in our winters, the sun is lower in the sky, and in the summers it's higher in the sky. So as it arcs across the sky, you get more direct sunlight because the top of the window is got an arch to it.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of a theory.
No, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay, so that would be the Chateau Laurier in Ottawa.
Look at that on the outside. Jeez.
All the way up here. And
the
again,
nodes. The nodes are shaped like little gargoyles too. They're not just like the nodes you see on the churches. They look like little heads or something.
Oh, yeah. 3 years, 1909 to 1912, or so we're told.
Jeez.
Okay, on to Toronto. Let me just set that up for you guys. How's the chat looking over here?
Oh, yeah, everybody's minds are blown. Terry says my brain hurts. Staff saying unreal. Yeah. Millennial reign. I've definitely heard that hypothesis.
Yeah. That's interesting for sure. Yeah, I think there's good chance there's something to it. Okay.
We're heading to Toronto now, Paul. Yeah, that's right. Formerly known as York.
Yes, and we're looking at the Royal York. Right.
Yeah, there you go. The city of York and the Royal York. Massive. This looks like it belongs in New York City, speaking of York.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you know how long it took to build?
Brace yourself, everybody.
Should we do the guessing game again? Don't cheat, guys. Don't cheat. How many years? How many years are they going to tell us? Don't cheat.
We'll give you a hint. It opened June 1929, is what they say.
Probably at least 15 years to get this one finished, right, guys?
You'd think 15 or 20. I mean, it's big. And Toronto's the biggest city in Canada and one of the biggest cities in North America and one of the biggest and oldest in North
28
America.
floors, guys. 28 floors. Okay. 2 years. 1927 to 1929. 2-year time period.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
It's a 2-year time, 20. So how many? That's more than what, a floor more than one floor a month, and that's to take it to completion is absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. But we know it to be true.
Paul says he's been there. Terry says she stayed there.
Oh, yeah. But we know the story is true because they provide us with these types of wonderful construction photos to prove that it was built at that time period. So there can be no doubting that historical narrative when we give us construction photos like this. This thing's massive.
My God, the size of that thing.
And they do say it's the biggest one.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely the biggest one. I mean, come on.
How many rooms?
You know what? The Palliser here in Calgary is basically a miniature version of that. Oh,
yeah. Yeah. Number of rooms, 1,363. You got to break the numbers down to the 2-year timeline, right? And
and were that many people coming to Canada, to Toronto, to vacation or to sightsee during the Great Depression? Right? Because it was finished in 29, right when the stock market crashed.
Well, maybe that's why it crashed. All these buildings were going up and the money was just flying around. And
then they realized, oh man, we made them too big and too beautiful.
Yeah, that's right. We should have scaled them back. We didn't need the extra 5 floors and the Antiquotech on top. There they are, a royal pair at the Royal York.
Who is that? Oh, Queen Elizabeth II and
Liz and Philip.
Yeah, Prince Philip. Okay, yeah.
Liz
God and Phil. Lizzie and Philly.
God rest their souls, right? If they had any.
That's right. Although, as much as I'm not a fan of the monarch and all that, I'm kind of a King George V fan.
Oh yeah. There's a particular reason, or just
I don't
what
know.
he did?
He just seemed cool.
Wasn't he cousin?
He was Victoria's grandson. He's the cousin to Tsar Nicholas and all them. And during WW1, I found old World War I footage of him inspecting the tank brigade for the British Army Infantry Division.
Okay. Yeah.
And you could see bombs going off in the background, and he's right there. He doesn't give a shit. He's like, yeah, I know there's a war, but you're the king.
Yeah,
I'm not going to hide away in the Scottish countryside. He was like right there. So I'm like, okay, I can, you know what? A guy can tip his hat to you a little bit there, King George V. You're still pretty bad, but not as bad as the rest, I guess.
Well, you never know.
At least he didn't tuck tail and run like a coward.
Right. That's right. There's the octagons again on the ceiling.
Jeez.
Seeing that.
Like, how long would that take, man?
That was in the railway catalog, right? Those octagonal coffered ceilings. That was
you order those from the Sears catalog, or here the Eaton's catalog in Canada.
Yeah. So remember, 2-year timeline to build this. Over 1,000 rooms, 1,300 rooms, 28 stories, 2 years. Man, that makes you feel small as a construction worker in modern day. It really does.
Right in Toronto, which, by the way, is right on Lake Ontario. So you can imagine the winters and the whipping cold wind blowing off of the second largest Great Lake.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you've got to subtract a couple of months off of each year of your build time, where, especially initially, like once you're doing interiors, you can work year round. But when you're digging the foundation and stacking blocks and pouring concrete and whatever, you can't do a lot of that in the winter. Not as easily anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Not like today. Today they wrap, a building in tarps and they get these propane heaters blowing in there and everything's hunky-dory. They can work year round. But back then, I'm sure they did work year round, but it was a lot more of a challenge.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to really envision what life was like back then because I think we're getting so many contradictions
Yeah.
of what we're seeing and what we're being told. And
whereas if these buildings are older than we were told, and the climate was slightly different back then, where there wasn't such severe weather patterns, then perhaps it wasn't quite as cold this far south in Canada and into the northern United States. Maybe it was only colder kind of up in the northern territories closer to the Arctic Circle.
Different climate, right?
Yeah, slightly different climate, not quite as cold in the winter, maybe not quite as hot, like the high 30s Celsius in the summer.
Yeah.
So therefore, back when we are sort of supposing that potentially these were built prior to when they say, far enough back that maybe the weather patterns and the climate was a little easier too.
Yeah. I think so. I think you're onto something there. We're moving on to Saskatchewan now. Okay, we're jumping over Manitoba, which we saw a couple from Manitoba. Saskatchewan, the favorite province to say, I always say, Saskatchewan.
Absolutely, especially if you're from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Which will start with Saskatoon. And we'll be looking at the Bessborough Hotel. I'll just line that up here for you. And I did feature this one in my Saskatoon video as well.
And Saskatoon, again, right smack dab in the middle of the bald ass prairies. This is wheat country.
Yeah.
Wheat, barley, oats. This is Canada's breadbasket. Alberta and Saskatchewan, most especially Saskatchewan. A little less cattle ranches in Saskatchewan. So a lot more of the grains grown into some corn as well. Some corn in southern Saskatchewan. Picture Kansas. That sort of idea. Look at this thing in the bald ass prairies just jutting out like a sore thumb.
This is the Bessborough. They say they broke ground in 1930 and it opened in 1935. So they're giving a little bit more time to complete it.
Which is ironic because it's so flat in Saskatchewan. But it takes longer to build than it does in Banff, where it's mountains.
That's true. Good point.
What the hell?
But we know it to be true because they give us a construction photo.
Yes, of course. That doesn't look at all like somebody used a Sharpie and a ruler.
Oh man!
And again, okay, so the build date on this thing is they're saying what did you say it was?
5 years, 1930 to 1935. 5 years.
So 1930. Why is there still in this construction photo a hoist rather than a crane? We should have steam powered cranes by the 20s and 30s easily. In fact, gas powered cranes by then. But that's not even a crane. It's a hoist. It's like a counterweighted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I mean, I think these are forgeries. I really do. They look so silly. To my eye, they look so silly. Like, this is absolutely absurd. Nobody built
Yeah, like in the foreground at the base of the construction job on that photo that you're showing right now, we should actually be seeing diesel building equipment, diesel earth movers, backhoes.
Sure. In the 30s.
Steamrollers. I mean, in the 20s and 30s, that stuff was already. So where is it all? No, just got some lines and a hoist.
Yeah. Well, we're hard up here up in Canada's north. We're hard.
Well, we know we're a bunch of tough lumberjacks up here, eh? We know how to do it right.
All right, let's get to modern day. So they're looking from above. You can see the shape of the building. So what do they say about this? This is a 10-floor building. Really, let's get to another look at it. But it's ticking those boxes, the conical domes, the dormers.
Rival was what they say, style to it.
Yeah.
Again, this looks like it belongs in like Germany or Paris, France or something, or not in the prairies of Canada,
Not Saskatoon, Canada?
And no offense to Saskatchewanonians,
Not at all.
Saskatchewanites. Not at all. We love I love my Saskatchewan neighbors to the east of me. Saskatchewan's a beautiful province. Saskatoon, Regina, beautiful cities.
Yeah.
Nicest people you'll ever meet. Salt of the earth, good down to earth people. So yeah, we're not making fun. It's just that by the official narrative, ain't nothing going on in Saskatchewan. Bald ass prairie where you can watch your dog run away for days and no man can leap to his death. That's how flat it is.
Yeah. And they built castles for hotels in the 30s.
But yeah, for some reason, there's old world castles there, smack dab in the middle of the prairies. With those turrets on the top. Jeez. Look at that.
Who's the genius that decides to build a hotel right after the Great Depression as well, right?
Well, the Canadian Railroad, of course.
Of course. They were unaffected, they'll say. That's the Bessborough Hotel in Saskatoon. So we're going to hop just a little bit further south of Saskatoon to Regina, which is the capital of the province. I'm right. Am I correct on that, Ricky?
Yes. Yeah, Regina is the capital of Saskatchewan.
I almost embarrassed myself there. Okay, so
Regina is named after Regina, right? It's
like the Queen. Is that another name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything here in Canada is named after either a king, a queen, or a prince, or a duke.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we're part of the British Commonwealth for so long, right? And we're still very closely tied. Yeah, exactly, Trippy. Yeah, Commonwealth. You bet. The Canada officially is the Dominion of Commonwealth Provinces of Canada.
Mm-hmm.
That's a mouthful.
It is. I always get a history lesson from you whenever we do these. I enjoy that.
Just these goofy little sound bites that get stuck in my head, and for some reason I remember them. Internet person says, Regina, the city that rhymes with fun.
True. Opened in
unacceptable. Sorry to interrupt. Unacceptable living is visiting us here. Scarborough, Ontario. Welcome, Scarborough. Yeah, they have the wealth, and we're the commoners. Exactly. Sorry, go ahead, my friend. Sorry.
No worries. I'm just looking here. I can't even find a start date on this one. They just tell us it was opened in 27.
This is which one again? Sorry.
This is Hotel
Saskatchewan
in Regina.
Yeah. It just says open. Yeah, it just says open 1927 history. Yada yada yada. The hotel's opening in 1927 meant the government house was no longer needed to accommodate official guests. They used to stay at the governor's house, and then they decided, I'm tired of having sleepovers. Can you build a hotel there, Railroad? Sure, we'll whack up a quick little hotel, and then they built this giant castle.
224 rooms. Yeah. Look at this. Is a fantastic construction photo. This is quite clearly drawn in, as far as I'm concerned. This section here. None of it looks genuine.
Yeah. Come on.
Quite
and again,
clearly.
hoists.
Yeah.
As mentioned earlier in the chat, who was it that mentioned it? Just scrolling up here quick. Somebody was saying like there was definitely steam-powered, like steam shovels and stuff in the 1880s. Yeah, it's actually 1850s or 1860s, actually, I think.
Yeah.
So definitely by the 1880s.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, hoists being used in the aughts or in the teens or 20s. Oh yeah, there it is. It was Philip Henry. Yeah, steam in the 1880s at least. Exactly.
We talked about monuments possibly having been fountains previously as well too, didn't we? Didn't we bring that up in a previous one?
Yes, yeah. It was when we were looking at one of the hotels in, I think it was in Halifax, or something. We were looking at something in Halifax.
Yeah, I can't remember, but it's interesting because
sorry, not Halifax, Hamilton. My mistake, Hamilton.
Oh, okay, yeah. Which Hamilton really revealed a lot to us too, didn't it? That was fantastic.
Yeah, it was crazy. I have a funny feeling Brandon, Manitoba is going to be like Hamilton.
Yeah, I think so.
It's going to be a lot of surprises.
I'm excited about it. Here's the street level for this. So sometimes doesn't look like much from at a distance, but then when you get close, you start to see what these things are really made of. There's your brickwork up there above the lower level stonework. Very opulent, right? All of it. Fancy stuff. And
Phil Henry coming in hard and heavy with the info. Regina originated as a hunter's camp. And it was known as Pile of Bones for the heaps of bones left there after skinning the animals that were hunted, I guess. Renamed Regina, which is Latin for queen, after Queen Victoria. Of course, so good old Queen Vicky.
Yeah.
Lots named after her in Canada, isn't there?
Victory, right? Victory.
Yes.
Hmm.
I wonder if she was. We are amused. We are delighted at the appearance of this fine hotel.
Came for the grand opening, probably, to cut the ribbon.
Maybe.
No. So I'll show you the previous version. Okay, this is what I was talking to you about before we broadcast today. This is the Hotel Capel.
Okay. Yeah, it's not on any of the big lists, right?
So apparently we're told they never completed it, but they got the steel structure up in it. Here, I think I did snip. Chateau Capel was a Grand Trunk Pacific Railway hotel planned for Regina, Saskatchewan. Construction started in 1913. Because of labor and material shortages and bankruptcy, the railway stopped the project. Scottish baronial style. There it is.
Yeah, of course. Got to have the Scottish baronial with a little French flair, even though we're a British Commonwealth. What? Right? Okay, Scottish and British, I get it. UK, sure.
Yeah.
But we have such a heavy French narrative in Canada, too, and not even necessarily just in Eastern Canada. I mean, there's little French hamlets and little towns all through the prairies.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure in BC. So
look, for 10 years, the 5-story high steel skeleton became an embarrassing eyesore for the city.
So eventually, they just left the steel skeleton.
Yes, for 10 years. That blew me away. That's why I snipped it. Like, this is
what
ridiculous.
That doesn't make any sense.
Then they turned it into a museum. The Royal Saskatchewan Museum now apparently is on the same spot that was. But this is pretty amazing. Look at this.
So
this. It's ridiculous, right? And I think it stood for sure. I think this thing was torn down.
Well, I mean, that's obviously a rendering, but it's a postcard.
Yeah.
Postcard stamp on the name of the place and what city it's in, in the red inked lettering or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they're just saying this is what it was supposed to look like, but sorry, we just didn't build it after all. Or
didn't have any money. World War I came around. Grand Trunk went out of business, and then eventually they tore down the half-finished skeleton. That's what we're told.
Jeez.
Yeah.
But on postcards they were able to take this is what the proposal of what it was supposed to look like.
Yeah, right. So why would you look? And they don't say that either. They don't say that. They're saying this is the Hotel Capel, Grand Trunk Pacific Railway. They're not saying this is a rendering. Sometimes they do. They'll say this is what it was supposed to look like,
or proposed hotel, or whatever.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. But they're not doing
nothing.
That.
No. So perhaps it did exist, and they tore it down. And what they're saying are construction photos that they stopped mid-construction of the steel framing was actually just some point during the demolition of it, maybe.
Yeah. It's murky waters, to be sure. Murky waters. So I thought I'd include that one as well, because
that's a great question by Terry. So if they ran out of money and couldn't finish it, why were they building a whole bunch of other hotels in the same time frame and didn't run out of money?
Did we catch them in another slip up? I think we did. The more you look, the more holes you're going to find in these storylines.
Yeah. They pulverized it rather than hand it over. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Are we ready for the last one? Last province?
Heading into British Columbia. Beautiful British Columbia.
My home, sweet home. I'm up here. For all of you that are wondering, I'm way up here, but we're going down here, down by the border. We're going to start in Vancouver, one of the 3 biggest cities in Canada, I guess. Vancouver's a pretty international city now, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it goes Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver.
So it's kind of a strange tale here. Officially, if you go to Wikipedia, they have 3 different versions of Hotel Vancouver. I found 4 versions. I'll show
the
them.
first was in the 1880s or something, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Supposedly.
let's talk about that one. I'll try not to have any giveaways here. Here's the first one.
Terry's saying we need a spreadsheet. Yeah. All the links will be in the description below.
Oh yeah. There's a lot to hold on to here, but this is definitely our way of getting it all out there, right? Documenting it, I suppose. Yeah, here's the first one. Don't know the build date on 1888.
Yes, yeah.
And demolished in 1912. So what is that? Let's do the quick math again because we're good at it.
24 years. Right?
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, 24 years.
You're saying the first Hotel Vancouver, quite obviously stone down here, and looking like brick actually. It's hard to tell, not a great photograph, but I do have this as well. Supposedly the front entry of the stoop. People are working in the hotel. Yeah. Nice
big arch there, big stones. Yeah, nice.
Stonework. You can see that. Like that's old world, screaming old world at you. 24-year lifespan for that building. Really?
I wonder what the reason they gave for tearing it down. Like, because often they say, oh, the city outgrew it, so they tore it down rather than just expanding, right? So was it deemed unsafe? Did it burn down? Like you said, there's no information.
No, it's vague, and it's a very young city too. Like this doesn't have a deep history, Vancouver, as far as all that goes. So it's a bit strange, right? So that's
Very
all I have really for that one. We're gonna move to let me just think which direction I want to go here. I'm gonna throw a little curveball just to show you. I said I found 4. If I can find it. Well, let's go to the second one. We'll go to the second one. This is Hotel Vancouver, the second version. Opened in 1916. Demolished in 19...
And this is the one that they're saying is officially the CP Rail Hotel, whereas the other one predated the rail.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So
this is
go ahead.
This is officially, according to their story anyway, is officially the Canadian Pacific Railway Hotel.
Yeah, okay. Stood for 33 years.
That massive they built that massive thing and they only left it up for 30 and a handful of years, really?
33 years, 1916 to 1949, they're telling us.
Look at that entranceway with those arches. You just pull right up to the front. Yeah, right down there. You just pull right up to the front, and it's sort of a covered entranceway, so you can get in and out of the lobby without getting wet or snowed on. Or well, I guess you wouldn't get snowed on much. It's Vancouver, but getting rained on. Wow, look at the windows in that thing. They just look like church windows. Like right above that entranceway roof there, or roof. Yeah, right, they look like church windows. Amazing.
And then we can work our way up. We'll see a little bit more in-depth visual on some of these, but you can see what they have coming off the side here. Can you see that?
Jeez.
What? Very Canadian. Moose and bison looking like, right?
Yeah. If it's moose and bison, that works, right? As opposed to like African lions' heads. I've always wondered why not more bears and moose and bison. Yeah, there we go. Fantastic. Oh, that's a beauty there, bud. Eh?
Look at the detail in there, eh? Whew. Let's get a little closer, see if we can.
See, up here in Canada, we have mountain lions or pumas or cougars, whatever you want to call them. Same thing, just like in the U.S. So I always wondered, if you were going to put a lion, why wouldn't you put a mountain lion, a North American mountain lion, rather than an African lion? You know, it's much more, by their narrative, they're building, you know, it's Canadian architects and building companies building these things in Canada. So you'd think they would put Canadian animals. So this kind of makes sense by the narrative, but that's incredible. That buffalo head is amazing.
Obviously strong enough for these 4 people to sit on it without worrying about it popping off.
And look at the scroll work running down the side of that.
Here.
Just to the left of those guys, too.
Oh, here, yeah. No, this is Remember, 33 years they decided to tear it down, we're told. Such BS. It's such BS. Yeah. That's the, there it is, and a little bit more. So that's the second version of Hotel Vancouver. Let's see, I might have a few more. There it is from a distance in the 30s looking like, maybe. Big structure.
Yeah, those vehicles are, those would be 30s vehicles.
Yeah.
Early to mid 30s. The car companies weren't making a lot of cars during the Great Depression, just like during World War II. They pretty much halted production in World War II, actually. Like Chevy and Ford and Dodge, the big three, basically. They didn't change the body styles of their cars from pre-war to the first couple of years after the war.
Mm-hmm.
So I would imagine it would have been the same thing during the 30s, where they really cut down production of cars. Because who the hell's buying cars during the Great Depression, right?
Yeah, right. Well, they're building buildings, so then maybe they're buying cars.
Maybe they should have been buying trucks and tractors.
Yeah. Here's a good pano before I move away from Hotel Vancouver version number 2. Just the side of the building with the bison and the moose and the detail. Oh my God.
That is incredible.
It's no wonder
that is some serious detail. Yeah, no wonder they had to knock it down. They're like, dude, we can't let people see this. There's too many questions to have to answer for. That's
right. And then the rooftop. Yeah, it's just amazing. Amazing structure.
Look at all those pillars up there. And you got to have like, it looks like a rooftop gardens up there. I bet you those are penthouse suites with rooftop gardens.
Oh yeah, they look like a nice place to be. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, man. Imagine the view you'd get of the Vancouver Harbor and all of that. Like, come on.
And you can see the background here. It's all old world, a lot of structures, mansard roofs, domes, and
you can see cathedrals and stuff in the background. And incredible, man. Incredible.
I did a Vancouver video though as well though too. So a lot of surprises there. This is the one I wanted to show you because they have those 3 versions of Hotel Vancouver. But this is a 4th version, and I can find no other trace of it but this.
So CPR Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So after the first and the second, because the first wasn't CPR, 1888, but the official second one was. So this could be the 3rd one that was, because it says CPR right on it.
But it's not, because I'm going to show you the 3rd one. And it's the one that still stands. So this one is basically like one of those ghosts again. It's
a mystery one that popped up between the official 2nd and 3rd. But this is the unofficial 3rd, and the one that they're saying is the 3rd is actually the 4th, the new one, the one that still stands.
Initially, I thought it was this. I thought I was looking at the same one when I first discovered it, and then I looked a little closer, and then I realized there's a similar shape, but it is not the same building at all.
The entranceway is completely different.
Look at the stairs up here.
Yeah, that's not on the photo of the other one.
No, isn't that an interesting building? And this is all I can find.
So what the hell's the deal with this thing then? I wonder.
It's a mystery to me. Anyone out there that ever sees this down through time?
See, this is again as a postcard. And they generally don't do postcards of buildings that don't exist. And also, I'm noticing that in the foreground of the postcard, there's cars, not horse and buggy.
Yeah.
So it's definitely 20s or 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe late teens, maybe. But let's face it, Vancouver, Canada, more people had cars in the 30s than in the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Cars in the 20s were still kind of rare and a luxury, unless maybe you're in Toronto or something like that.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mystery for sure. Excuse me. But I wanted to
this is weird. It's weird.
If anyone can ever find any more info on this, then contact me because I can find nothing on this structure anywhere. So it's an anomaly. Here's another one, by the way, before we get to the last Vancouver version, the Canadian Pacific Hotel. Another one of those obscure postcards.
So what's this one? The
Canadian Pacific. Hotel. So
Canadian Pacific Hotel in Vancouver. Oh, okay. Really creative name on that. It's basically they just named it whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever the railway was. Yeah. So Hotel Vancouver. Oh, where are we at here? I've got 2 more hotels, folks, and then we'll wrap it up. Hotel Vancouver, the final version, which is I'm looking for here. Here it is. Yeah. Fairmont Hotel Vancouver. Let me get to it here. Here's how it stands modern day. I've been in this hotel. I've stayed a night in there.
Yeah, this thing is, again, it looks like it should be in old New York or like Chicago.
Yeah, it's
again, Vancouver's a pretty big city. Canada's 3rd largest, so Vancouver's huge and it's growing by the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can scale stuff up for Vancouver compared to Calgary or Saskatoon. But even by Vancouver standards, this thing is way too big. Like,
yeah,
wow.
It's big and it's amazing. Like it's very fancy feeling in there. Like I'm sure most of these are. It's just the only one I've been in. 500 rooms. It said they took them about a decade to build. Here we have again a construction photo from 1931, which is a few years into the build. They'll tell us. But I don't know. It's hard to know what to make of much of these. They have a small handful of construction photos, which is usually the case, right?
Yeah.
And you have your scaffold around the peak there, and like, what are
You
these?
think the railroads, sticklers as they are for paperwork and time and being on time and ledgers and schedules, you think they'd have a shutterbooks just snapping away at almost every stage of the construction process. Especially because this is kind of like the railroad barons. They almost kind of want to show off and their bragging rights, and CP and CN are trying to outdo each other this whole time too, is the other thing, right? So you'd think they would want to sort of peacock their work with lots of photos. But all we find is a few photos, and the ones we do find, a lot of them are kind of sketchy looking.
I see someone in the chat saying looks legit. This one's definitely a better photograph than some of the previous construction photos I've shown.
Yeah, it looks better than those ones we were laughing at with the
It also looks like it's
hoists on top.
It looks like it's made special for this reason. Like you get these sometimes when you look especially when you look at some really well-established buildings. They've taken meticulous care on a small handful of construction photos, and that's why there's only 2 or 3 or 4 construction photos. There's not like a big camera roll of these photos that you can find easily. That's my assessment of it. So again, I don't really trust much of it. I know the way that the sort of construction is going here doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Again, and the way they have the scaffolds around the roof like that. Again, I question everything, right?
Oh, absolutely. You have to. And there's nothing wrong with questioning.
Yeah. So look at a few more of this. Here's a little bit of the interior. Pretty fancy pants in there for sure.
Wow. Yeah. Again, the details with these medallions, with the chandeliers coming out of them, it's almost like the beauty of that medallion on the ceiling is dripping down to form the chandelier. You know what I mean? Like they're able to.
Yeah.
The beauty isn't just painted on the wall. It's 3-dimensional. You're sort of meant to interact with it, I think, in some respects. It's meant to be noticed. It's meant to be admired. Look at that. Holy smokes, man. Incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Somebody asking me in the chat, Old World Hastings asked me, please show some real construction photos you do trust one day. All right, if I can find them from that time period, I'll let you know.
Yeah, why is half the building painted during construction? Yeah, that's kind of weird too, right?
It's choppy. The procedure is choppy, the way they did display a lot of this in these photos.
Almost like a renovation photo, yeah, and then they put it as it's a construction photo, but it's a reno photo maybe, sure.
Yeah, this is when you go in this hotel, you feel like royalty. Like you have that feeling like you're, wow, this place, I better not scuff. I better not dent anything. I better not chip the marble. That's how it feels when you go in this place. Everything feels immense. The columns are large and, intimidating.
Mm.
Yeah. Here we have both of them, the first and the second, standing at the same time. Right.
You don't say. Look at that. Okay. So at one point, there was simultaneously 2 Hotel Vancouvers.
Mm-hmm.
No, I bet you that wasn't confused. I mean, we're already kind of confused by the narrative because you found 4, but they're saying there was only 3.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And 2 were standing at the same time.
Yeah.
So you get off the train at the train station in Vancouver, let's say, coming from, I don't know, Calgary or Toronto or wherever, or somewhere in the States.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get in their cab and you say, take me to Hotel Vancouver. And the guy turns and looks at you and says, which one, buddy? I don't know which one you want to go to there, eh?
Yeah.
Hey, bud, you got to be more specific. And you're like, what?
1 or 2?
The Hotel Vancouver, man. What's wrong with you? Yeah, there's 2 of them there, pal.
Which one did you book at? That's right.
Yeah, which one did you book at exactly? You're running back and forth up and down the avenue.
Check this one out in the foreground too. Like, it's all old world. Look at this. You can see detail here. I don't know what it is, but you have the street side facade. Even down here, you've got little arch windows, brick detailing, old world.
And then again, those big wrought iron and glass canopies.
Yeah, it's all right. We've come to it at last, the final hotel in our journey across Canada. Let's get to the map. And we're going to dip below the 49th parallel to Victoria. And then just for the viewers, I'm going to plug some of my work here. I have done one on Victoria. I've done a video on Vancouver. And I've done one on Port Townsend right here. So I've hit that area pretty hard as far as old world construction goes. But let's take a look at Victoria. I lived in Victoria for a couple of years.
I never lived in Victoria. I've been on the island a number of times. Nanaimo, Chemainus, Victoria, a couple of other places. I did live one summer in Vancouver itself. The company I worked for was opening a new location. And I helped to set up the new location. So they basically put me up they rented me a condo in Yaletown.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there for about a summer, like about 5 months, almost 5 months, but never lived on the island. It is beautiful, though.
It is beautiful. It's a nice place for sure. Over 400 rooms in this hotel. 1904 to 1908 were given as construction time. It gets a little interesting as well because we have a couple phases on the build. Let me see if I can. So we have what they're going to call an original version. You can see how high the harbor is here. Actually, this is quite high.
Yes.
I'll try
big blocks of stone again.
Yeah. So let me explain this so this is the inner harbor in Victoria. You have these are massive stones, like 5 feet by 2 feet. This is a megalithic block harbor, inner harbor. You can see the 2 different phases here. And it's sort of surrounded by a couple essential old world buildings, I suppose you could say. This is the Capitol building, which sits to the right of this building as we're looking at it. So on here.
Look at that place. Right? Jeez.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
The Capitol building's ridiculous too. And then we'll jump back to the hotel though.
Uh-oh. I think we lost Chris there. Something happened. Maybe the interwebs connection. When you live right smack dab in the heart of the Canadian Rockies, the interwebs can get a little dodgy, I think. A little bit dodgy, to say the least. But that area that we were looking at is very, very interesting because there was a lot of scuffles between Canada and the US when it comes to that whole sort of lower mainland of British Columbia and parts of Vancouver Island as well. Excuse me, this whole area in here. There was border disputes, prior to the War of 1812, but also there were skirmishes and fighting over some of this area during the War of 1812. And that's why there's a lot of star forts in and around here that I found. There's a lot of old forts. There's a lot of Hudson's Bay trading posts in and around here. So there was a lot going on, not only in Vancouver, but in Victoria and kind of all up and down both coasts of the island, as well as, once you get down into Washington State, over into Idaho as well. But really this whole area, there was a lot of disputing. So there's a lot of funny business going on. And that's why, there's such the presence, I think, of old world in and around Victoria, Vancouver, and some of the other areas in here. You're back. Good stuff.
Did I freeze up?
Something happened, and then you were there, and then all of a sudden you were gone.
Yeah, it's the third time froze up on this chat. A couple more visuals for you, and then we could call her.
Yeah, I was saying, when you're like right smack dab in the Rocky Mountains, the interwebs can be a little bit dodgy.
Yeah.
They can build stuff like these buildings in 2 years, but it's hard to get good internet service through a fairly good sized city in the Rockies for some reason.
That's right.
Even though there's supposedly satellites buzzing around above our heads all over the place, thousands of them.
Yeah, right. Fiber optic cables is what I've heard.
Yeah, that's probably more like it.
I don't know if you guys heard much of what I was talking about this. If you look closely, this looks like it's covered in ivy. Does that look like it's covered
when you popped out, which building is this one now? This is the
Empress.
The Empress
in Victoria.
The Empress Hotel in Victoria. Okay.
Yeah. I know it's hard to tell, but it looks to me like this is like almost completely covered in ivy. You can see the bit of a fuzziness to the building.
Yeah, it does actually. It does look like it's covered in ivy.
And this is an early time period again where how many years did it take for that to be covered in ivy like that? Massive stacks in behind there. Some interesting stuff.
Pretty incredible. Yeah, that place looks also very castle-like.
Yeah, no, it's very fancy. It's very British, very monarchical. I have been in this as well, not stayed there, but I have been in the Empress to the tea lounge. You can go and have high tea in the tea lounge.
Oh, lovely. I say, that's lovely. Was this a CN or a CP? CP, I want to say.
Oh, did I lose my link? Oh, I'm not sure now. Let me find it.
No, it's okay. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, CP.
CP. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of what. Generally speaking, Alberta and BC, the majority are CP.
Yeah.
And Quebec too, because they're based out of Montreal.
Yeah. Well, this is just an interior. This is the government building next to it. So that's a whole different story. But this whole area, this is why I wanted to feature it. So the Empress would be to our left here as we look at it. This building here looking like a Greek Parthenon maybe.
Yeah, yes, it does.
Is the rail terminal and the ferry terminal. Sorry, not the rail terminal, the ferry terminal or the steamship. This is where you would dock.
Big steam-powered paddle boats.
Yeah, they would come in. I think I have a visual of it. I'm just looking.
We had those here in Alberta too, in Lake Athabasca.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Here it is. Here you can see this is the building I was highlighting there, and you can see the big steamships coming in. This is where they would dock. So CPR.
What the hell is even that?
This is on the island, Vancouver Island of British Columbia, right?
Yeah, you're just gonna put a Greek Parthenon right there on Vancouver Island in Canada. Why not? Jeez, look at that thing.
Yeah.
Wow. This is the first time seeing of that thing. I didn't even know.
Yeah, the whole inner harbor is beautiful there, and all downtown Victoria is just riddled with old world architecture. So that's the end of my file. So I can stop sharing screen. So that was a trip.
That was 4,000 miles of opulence from east to west. And you know what? I know you left out a bunch. I left out a bunch too that are railway hotels, but they're not these castles, right? Like you and I really agreed that we really had to showcase these castles and that they're passing off as hotels. But there are some that are more like, wood frame. They're still very beautiful and very decorative, but they're not stone or brick structures. They're wood frame hotels. Some of them are quite big, but they're only 2, maybe 3 floors. And, they're built in the 30s or 40s, so they say, and not quite as elaborate and awe-inspiring as what we've been looking at here today. So we actually left out, between you and I, probably a couple of dozen.
Yeah, definitely.
But they're on that list that's, the link is in the description. It's from the official, it's the Wikipedia, but it lists the 3 major railway hotels. Again, CN, CP, and then the Grand Trunk Railroad.
Yeah.
And then a couple of others from other companies that some of them are also very castle-like, like the Prince of Wales one that I showed in Waterton, for example, or the Windsor in Montreal.
Yeah, I think it was really important for us to do this, to bring all these to the forefront and get the timelines in there and the visuals. And there's too many stories in here that it's just not well enough explained for us, the timelines and all these things. So I think it's really important to highlight the question marks.
Yeah, I think so too. Your volume is kind of low again. I think that happened the last time you accidentally got bumped off the stream.
How am I doing now? Better?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, now we're talking.
Weird.
Loud and clear.
That's what happens when you pass 10,000 subs, Frankie.
Yeah, YouTube starts screwing with you even more than they probably already were.
Can you still hear me all right?
Yep, loud and clear. Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, how about in the chat? Are we both still coming in loud and clear? Hopefully everybody's still enjoying things. This was a mind bender, man. Like, wow. I'm really, there are 42 people watching approximately. Thank you very much. That's between Chris's channel, Old World Exploration, and mine, New West Reset. So we're broadcasting simultaneously between our 2 channels, which is what we do for this show, the Canuckleheads here. Episode 5. Thanks for joining us. This was absolutely amazing. Glorious Canadian castles passed off as railroad hotels from coast to coast, man.
Yeah. And the next one will be Brandon, right?
Yeah. You know what? I want to just quickly again pull that up on the map because I kind of screwed up its location earlier, but a subscriber had talked a little bit about Brandon and had sort of requested it or mentioned Brandon, Manitoba. And as mentioned, you and I had come across some wacky stuff that had to do with Brandon anyway. So we thought the next episode 6, maybe we could have a look at Brandon. So let me just pull it up here and share it with you real quick. Share it right quick there, bud.
Right quick.
See it right? Oh, come on. What happened to it? Boom. There we go. So there's Brandon, Manitoba. Get out of there. Brandon, Manitoba, not Carnegie. There's Brandon right there. So originally I thought it was over here, sort of. So I was way off. And I didn't think that it was on the Trans-Canada. But it is, actually. Well, it looks like they have a ring road maybe that goes around it now.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, Brandon right here. So, again, sort of right smack dab in the middle from east to west, right in the heart of Canada here.
Yeah, another Manitoba we're going to look at. Wow. Second spotlight on Manitoba for us in this series.
Yeah, because Winnipeg had a lot of surprises too, didn't it?
Yeah, it sure did. Yeah, some old roots in Canada going into Winnipeg or going into Manitoba as well, right? With the rebellions and.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of skirmishes and scuffles with Indigenous First Nations people, but also with Métis, and there was a few rebellions. The Red River Rebellion, probably the most famous, Louis Riel. So yeah, there was a lot going on And, with Winnipeg being, not too far away and being a major, major transportation hub in Canada, old world and modern world, and with Brandon being sort of on one of the westerly arms of those transportation hubs, shouldn't be a surprise,
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're still going to find a lot of surprises because, it is what it is, right? You go digging around, poking around, and do even just a slightly deeper dive. And there's just, look how many Crystal Palaces we found in Canada. There was 4, like it's ridiculous. Montreal, 2 in Toronto, one in Hamilton.
Yeah, it doesn't take much when you start to dig, right? It's there. You just you gotta want to see it. Gotta want to look at it. Yeah. Maybe we should sign off, eh?
I was just gonna say, probably ready to wind this thing down here. 3 hours and 15 minutes. This was an epic live stream. Thank you to everybody who stuck through from beginning to end. Thanks to all of you who've been kind of jumping in and out, and great comments, great suggestions in the chat. Thanks to all of you. This has been very eye-opening, very, 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 very interesting. Hopefully you found it just as interesting, all of you tuning in. So yeah, the next episode next month will be Brandon, Manitoba, by the looks of it. And what else you got going on your channel? By the way, congrats again on 10,000 subscribers there, sir. Very good.
Yeah.
Way before Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Very
I know.
nice.
I appreciate it. Maybe YouTube's going to cap me now. I'll sit at 10,000 for the next 2 years. You watch. Well, I'm doing a conversation I'm having a conversation on Monday. Record a conversation with a gentleman, a chiropractor out of South Carolina. I'm probably going to broadcast that over on my Rumble channel. I'm going to have basically too hot for YouTube conversations that I'm going to post over onto Rumble. We'll get into topics that YouTube doesn't like, so I'm going to probably keep those away from YouTube. Not that YouTube's thrilled about our old world research, but I don't think we're on the radar like other topics are. So I'll be posting more things over there as time moves on, conversations with people that have reached out to me. Yeah.
That sounds very interesting, actually.
And then I have a chat on Friday with Marvelous Old World. If we remember Matthew from Marvelous Old World, and the Great Deception podcast. I think his name is Matt as well. First time I'll be chatting with him. So I don't know if that'll be live stream or recorded, but that'll happen next Friday. So
nice.
That's my near future. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And you just recently came back from vacation. You said you were camping and stuff, and you said the weather was pretty nice. It wasn't too bad, right?
Yeah, it's been all right around here. Yeah, we still got a bit of smoky skies up here, but yeah, warm day today, but it changes from day to day. We're moving into the fall. There's no question. You can feel it in the air. So.
Yeah, it's that time of the year, isn't it? Even over here, too. It's kind of chilly in the morning where maybe you got to throw a hoodie or a windbreaker on or something. But you can still wear shorts, eh? No problem, bud.
Oh,
and then during the day, you got to lose the hoodie or the windbreaker, throw it in your backpack or whatever. And then by the evening, you got to bust that out again, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, layers.
Yep. Yeah, it's that funny time of year where you're still cooking at the height of the day when it's still in the high 20s, low 30s Celsius. But the mornings and evenings drops below 10. You were saying it got close to 0 a couple of evenings there.
Did, yeah.
0 Celsius. It's like dew point, that's freezing, right? 0 Celsius, water freezes. So brr.
Yeah. A bit early for that, but yeah, it was
yikes. Cool. Yeah, no, I don't like that. Just had some question in the chat as channel links. So I posted the links for both of our channels in the chat. Chris over at Old World Exploration and myself, Frankie, New West Reset, as well as they are in the description below, should be on both of our channels, how you can get in touch with both Chris and myself through our various accounts and whatnots and emails and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I'll add my Rumble one to the About section on my page. I haven't done that yet. There's nothing on there yet, but once I put a video up, I'll get it on there. Just started that, so.
Yeah, I just started mine too, and I think I just crossed 5, which means I can start live streaming and having it over on Rumble at the same time, so I could have the HooTubes and the Rumble simultaneously.
What do you mean crossed 5?
5 subscribers.
Oh, that's like a milestone for you to be allowed to do that there?
Yeah, to be able to broadcast it through, let's say, StreamYard onto BitChute. You can upload videos, as many as you want or whatever, but I think I remember reading that you have to have at minimum 5 followers or subscribers or whatever to stream. So
yeah, good to know.
And are you on you're on BitChute too, aren't you, or no? No, not on BitChute.
No, I have an Instagram, but I don't use it a lot.
Yeah, okay.
Just visuals, right? But mostly just YouTube. Yeah.
BitChute's pretty good. I like BitChute. It's pretty busy over there. There's a lot of folks over there on the BitChutes.
Yeah, people that got disgruntled with YouTube, I think, and parked out in BitChute.
Yeah, people that don't like YouTube, they don't like Google, so they can get onto BitChute through another search engine and log in, and everything's hunky dory over there.
Might have to get one of those done. It's
a pretty good crowd. I don't have tons of followers. I think I have 32 or 34-ish, somewhere in there. Maybe the dreaded 33. But yeah, it's really good. Great bunch over there. Great comments. A lot of great ideas over there.
Yeah, cool.
So, awesome. And I think it's a lot of, subscribers would be following on multiple platforms. So maybe a lot of my subscribers that follow on YouTube are also over on BitChute following. So that's great. Because a lot of times if something has to be taken down off of YouTube, or if they strike something, you can still put it up on the BitChutes, no problem.
Yeah, no, I was going to say we should do a chat on BitChute and just nothing but F words. So, just swear like a trucker.
Yeah, once yours is up and running, then we can kind of broadcast everything. Yeah, absolutely.
As much as we possibly can, drop the F-bomb.
Yeah.
I was just kidding.
All right, well, I think that's pretty good here. We're 3 hours, 20 minutes. So again, all the links in the description below. Thanks again to everybody, and thanks to you, Chris, Old World Exploration. Thank you very much. Always have a great time chatting with you and getting together for the Canuckleheads show.
Yeah, me too.
Just a couple of crazy Canadian Canuckleheads up here, eh, bud?
She shoots, she scores!
1 minute till the end of the period. Thanks again to everybody in the chat, both chats, actually. Really appreciate it. Great to see all of you. Thanks for taking time out of your weekend to join us. And we have a new outro for the show as well, actually. The intro is basically the same, but got a new Canucklehead Show outro video because my buddy Chris over here, he sent me a neat link to a live version of a Tragically Hip song. And the late, great Gord Downey, the lead singer, kind of does a vocal aside toward the end of the live version of this song where he screams out, well, I'll let you hear it when we do the outro. It's quite amazing. So thanks again, Chris, and thanks to everybody. Really appreciate it. Really, it was great to see everybody here, and great to see the excitement for the Canucklehead Show. That's it now. Now it's a Rolling Stone. There's no stopping it now. The Canucklehead Show.
More people than CBC watching.
Yeah. Oh, for sure there, eh? Yeah, I think it was maybe the 100th Meridian, actually. What is that? What song it was, Chris?
Fully completely.
Fully completely. Live version, fully completely. Okay, yeah, there you go. They're all just such great songs from that band that one just confuses with the other because they're all just, over a decade and over 10 albums of great music from one of the greatest bands out of Canada, Tragically Hip. All right, everyone. Thanks again, Chris. Take care, everybody. And until the next one, have yourselves a good one. And we'll see you again soon. Cheers.
I'm in love with the old world. Love your old world ways.
I think that was like our best show ever.